In the Senate of the United States, August 10, 2021. Resolved, that the bill from the House of Representatives, H.R. 3684, entitled An Act to Authorize Funds for Federal Aid Highways, Highway Safety Programs, and Transit Programs, and for other purposes, do pass with the following amendment: strike all after the enacting clause and insert the following: 1. Section 1. Short title, Table of Contents. 2. A. Short title: This act may be cited as the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act. 4. B. Table of Contents. The table of contents for 5. This act is as follows: Sector 1. Short title, Table of Contents. Sector 2. References. Division A, Surface Transportation, Sector 10001. Short title. Sector 10002. Definitions. Sector 10003. Effective date. 2 H.R. 3684 EAS. Title I, Federal Aid Highways. Subtitle A, Authorizations and Programs. Sector 11101. Authorization of Appropriations. Sector 11102. Obligation Ceiling. Sector 11103. Definitions. Sector 11104. Apportionment. Sector 11105. National Highway Performance Program. Sector 11106. Emergency Relief. Sector 11107. Federal Share Payable. Sector 11108. Railway Highway Grade Crossings. Sector 11109. Surface Transportation Block Grant Program. Sector 11110. Nationally Significant Freight and Highway Projects. Sector 11111. Highway Safety Improvement Program. Sector 11112. Federal Lands Transportation Program. Sector 11113. Federal Lands Access Program. Sector 11114. National Highway Freight Program. Sector 11115. Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Improvement Program. Sector 11116. Alaska Highway. Sector 11117. Toll roads, bridges, tunnels, and ferries. Sector 11118. Bridge Investment Program. Sector 11119. Safe Routes to School. Sector 11120. Highway Use Tax Evasion Projects. Sector 11121. Construction of ferry boats and ferry terminal facilities. Sector 11122. Vulnerable Road User Research. Sector 11123. Wildlife Crossing Safety. Sector 11124. Consolidation of Programs. Sector 11125. Dow Report. Sector 11126. Territorial and Puerto Rico Highway Program. Sector 11127. Nationally Significant Federal Lands and Tribal Projects Program. Sector 11128. Tribal High Priority Projects Program. Sector 11129. Standards. Sector 11130. Public Transportation. Sector 11131. Reservation of certain funds. Sector 11132. Rural Surface Transportation Grant Program. Sector 11133. Bicycle Transportation and Pedestrian Walkways. Sector 11134. Recreational Trails Program. Sector 11135. Updates to Manual on Uniform Traffic Control Devices. Subtitle B, Planning and Performance Management, Sector 11201. Transportation Planning. Sector 11202. Fiscal Constraint on Long-Range Transportation Plans. Sector 11203. State Human Capital Plans. Sector 11204. Prioritization Process Pilot Program. Sector 11205. Travel Demand Data and Modeling. Sector 11206. Increasing Safe and Accessible Transportation Options. Subtitle C, Project Delivery and Process Improvement, Sector 11301. Codification of one federal decision. Sector 11302. Work Zone Process Reviews. Sector 11303. Transportation Management Plans. Sector 11304. Intelligent Transportation Systems. Sector 11305. Alternative Contracting Methods. 3 H.R. 3684 EAS, Sector 11306. Flexibility for Projects. Sector 11307. Improved Federal-State Stewardship and Oversight Agreements. Sector 11308. Geomatic Data. Sector 11309. Evaluation of projects within an operational right-of-way. Sector 11310. Preliminary Engineering. Sector 11311. Efficient Implementation of NEPA for Federal Land Management Projects. Sector 11312. National Environmental Policy Act of 1969 Reporting Program. Sector 11313. Surface Transportation Project Delivery Program Written Agreements. Sector 11314. State Assumption of Responsibility for Categorical Exclusions. Sector 11315. Early Utility Relocation Prior to Transportation Project Environmental Review. Sector 11316. Streamlining of Section 4, F, Reviews. Sector 11317. Categorical Exclusion for Projects of Limited Federal Assistance. Sector 11318. Certain gathering lines located on federal land and Indian land. Sector 11319. Annual Report. Subtitle D, Climate Change, Sector 11401. Grants for Charging and Fueling Infrastructure. Sector 11402. Reduction of Truck Emissions at Port Facilities. Sector 11403. Carbon Reduction Program. Sector 11404. Congestion Relief Program. Sector 11405. Promoting Resilient Operations for Transformative, Efficient, and Cost-Saving Transportation, PROTECT, Program. Sector 11406. Healthy Streets Program. Subtitle E, Miscellaneous, Sector 11501. Additional Deposits into Highway Trust Fund. Sector 11502. Stopping Threats on Pedestrians. Sector 11503. Transfer and Sale of Toll Credits. Sector 11504. Study of Impacts on Roads from Self-Driving Vehicles. Sector 11505. Disaster Relief Mobilization Study. Sector 11506. Appalachian Regional Commission. Sector 11507. Denali Commission. Sector 11508. Requirements for transportation projects carried out through public-private partnerships. Sector 11509. Reconnecting Communities Pilot Program. Sector 11510. Cybersecurity Tool, Cyber Coordinator. Sector 11511. Report on Emerging Alternative Fuel Vehicles and Infrastructure. Sector 11512. Non-Highway Recreational Fuel Study. Sector 11513. Buy America. Sector 11514. High Priority Corridors on the National Highway System. Sector 11515. Interstate Weight Limits. Sector 11516. Report on Air Quality Improvements. Sector 11517. Roadside Highway Safety Hardware. Sector 11518. Permeable Pavements Study. Sector 11519. Emergency Relief Projects. Sector 11520. Study on Stormwater Best Management Practices. Sector 11521. Stormwater Best Management Practices Reports. Sector 11522. Invasive Plant Elimination Program. Sector 11523. Over-the-road bus tolling equity. Sector 11524. Bridge terminology. Sector 11525. Technical corrections. Sector 11526. Working Group on Covered Resources. For H.R. 3684 EAS Sector 11527. Blood Transport Vehicles. Sector 11528. Pollinator-friendly practices on roadsides and highway rights-of-way. Sector 11529. Active Transportation Infrastructure Investment Program. Sector 11530. Highway Cost Allocation Study. Title II Transportation Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Sector 12001. Transportation Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act of 1998 Amendments. Sector 12002. Federal Requirements for TIFIA Eligibility and Project Selection. Title III Research, Technology, and Education Sector 13001. Strategic Innovation for Revenue Collection. Sector 13002. National Motor Vehicle Per Mile User Fee Pilot. Sector 13003. Performance Management Data Support Program. Sector 13004. Data Integration Pilot Program. Sector 13005. Emerging Technology Research Pilot Program. Sector 13006. Research and Technology Development and Deployment. Sector 13007. Workforce Development, Training, and Education. Sector 13008. Wildlife Vehicle Collision Research. Sector 13009. Transportation Resilience and Adaptation Centers of Excellence. Sector 13010. Transportation Access Pilot Program. Title IV Indian Affairs Sector 14001. Definition of Secretary. Sector 14002. Environmental Reviews for Certain Tribal Transportation Facilities. Sector 14003. Programmatic Agreements for Tribal Categorical Exclusions. Sector 14004. Use of certain tribal transportation funds. Sector 14005. Bureau of Indian Affairs Road Maintenance Program. Sector 14006. Study of road maintenance on Indian land. Sector 14007. Maintenance of certain Indian reservation roads. Sector 14008. Tribal transportation safety needs. Sector 14009. Office of Tribal Government Affairs. Division B Surface Transportation Investment Act of 2021 Sector 20001. Short title. Sector 20002. Definitions. Title I Multimodal and Freight Transportation. Subtitle A Multimodal Freight Policy. Sector 21101. Office of Multimodal Freight Infrastructure and Policy. Sector 21102. Updates to National Freight Plan. Sector 21103. State collaboration with National Multimodal Freight Network. Sector 21104. Improving State Freight Plans. Sector 21105. Implementation of National Multimodal Freight Network. Sector 21106. Multi-State Freight Corridor Planning. Sector 21107. State Freight Advisory Committees. Subtitle B Multimodal Investment. Sector 21201. National Infrastructure Project Assistance. Sector 21202. Local and Regional Project Assistance. 5 H.R. 3684 EAS. Sector 21203. National Culvert Removal, Replacement, and Restoration Grant Program. Sector 21204. National Multimodal Cooperative Freight Research Program. Sector 21205. Rural and Tribal Infrastructure Advancement. Subtitle C Railroad Rehabilitation and Improvement Financing Reforms. Sector 21301. RRIF Codification and Reforms. Sector 21302. Substantive Criteria and Standards. Sector 21303. Semi-Annual Report on Transit-Oriented Development Eligibility. Title II Rail. Sector 22001. Short title. Subtitle A Authorization of Appropriations. Sector 22101. Grants to Amtrak. Sector 22102. Federal Railroad Administration. Sector 22103. Consolidated Rail Infrastructure and Safety Improvements Grants. Sector 22104. Railroad Crossing Elimination Program. Sector 22105. Restoration and Enhancement Grants. Sector 22106. Federal State Partnership for Intercity Passenger Rail Grants. Sector 22107. Amtrak Office of Inspector General. Subtitle B Amtrak Reforms. Sector 22201. Amtrak Findings, Mission, and Goals. Sector 22202. Composition of Amtrak's Board of Directors. Sector 22203. Station Agents. Sector 22204. Increasing oversight of changes to Amtrak long-distance routes and other intercity services. Sector 22205. Improved oversight of Amtrak accounting. Sector 22206. Improved oversight of Amtrak spending. Sector 22207. Increasing service line and asset line plan transparency. Sector 22208. Passenger experience enhancement. Sector 22209. Amtrak smoking policy. Sector 22210. Protecting Amtrak routes through rural communities. Sector 22211. State-supported route committee. Sector 22212. Enhancing cross-border service. Sector 22213. Creating quality jobs. Sector 22214. Amtrak Daily Long Distance Service Study. Subtitle C Intercity Passenger Rail Policy. Sector 22301. Northeast Corridor Planning. Sector 22302. Northeast Corridor Commission. Sector 22303. Consolidated Rail Infrastructure and Safety Improvements. Sector 22304. Restoration and Enhancement Grants. Sector 22305. Railroad Crossing Elimination Program. Sector 22306. Interstate Rail Compacts. Sector 22307. Federal-State Partnership for Intercity Passenger Rail Grants. Sector 22308. Corridor Identification and Development Program. Sector 22309. Surface Transportation Board Passenger Rail Program. Subtitle D. Rail Safety. Sector 22401. Railway Highway Crossings Program Evaluation. 6 H.R. 3684 EAS. Sector 22402. Grade Crossing Accident Prediction Model. Sector 22403. Periodic Updates to Highway Rail Crossing Reports and Plans. Sector 22404. Blocked Crossing Portal. Sector 22405. Data Accessibility. Sector 22406. Emergency Lighting. Sector 22407. Comprehensive Rail Safety Review of Amtrak. Sector 22408. Completion of Hours of Service and Fatigue Studies. Sector 22409. Positive Train Control Study. Sector 22410. Operating Crew Member Training, Qualification, and Certification. Sector 22411. Transparency and Safety. Sector 22412. Research and Development. Sector 22413. Rail Research and Development Center of Excellence. Sector 22414. Quarterly Report on Positive Train Control System Performance. Sector 22415. Speed Limit Action Plans. Sector 22416. New Passenger Service Pre-Revenue Safety Validation Plan. Sector 22417. Federal Railroad Administration Accident and Incident Investigations. Sector 22418. Civil Penalty Enforcement Authority. Sector 22419. Advancing Safety and Innovative Technology. Sector 22420. Passenger Rail Vehicle Occupant Protection Systems. Sector 22421. Federal Railroad Administration Reporting Requirements. Sector 22422. National Academy's Study on Trains Longer than 7,500 feet. Sector 22423. High-speed train noise emissions. Sector 22424. Critical Incident Stress Plans. Sector 22425. Requirements for railroad freight cars placed into service in the United States. Sector 22426. Railroad Point of Contact for Public Safety Issues. Sector 22427. Controlled Substances Testing for Mechanical Employees. Title III Motor Carrier Safety. Sector 23001. Authorization of Appropriations. Sector 23002. Motor Carrier Safety Advisory Committee. Sector 23003. Combating Human Trafficking. Sector 23004. Immobilization Grant Program. Sector 23005. Commercial Motor Vehicle Enforcement Training and Support. Sector 23006. Study of Commercial Motor Vehicle Crash Causation. Sector 23007. Promoting women in the trucking workforce. Sector 23008. State inspection of passenger carrying commercial motor vehicles. Sector 23009. Truck leasing task force. Sector 23010. Automatic emergency braking. Sector 23011. Underride protection. Sector 23012. Providers of recreational activities. Sector 23013. Amendments to regulations relating to transportation of household goods in interstate commerce. Sector 23014. Improving federal-state motor carrier safety enforcement coordination. Sector 23015. Limousine research. Sector 23016. National Consumer Complaint Database. Sector 23017. Electronic Logging Device Oversight. Sector 23018. Transportation of agricultural commodities and farm supplies. Sector 23019. Modification of restrictions on certain commercial drivers' licenses. Sector 23020. Report on human trafficking violations involving commercial motor vehicles. Sector 23021. Broker guidance relating to federal motor carrier safety regulations. 7 H.R. 3684 EAS Sector 23022. Apprenticeship Pilot Program. Sector 23023. Limousine compliance with federal safety standards. Title 4 Highway and Motor Vehicle Safety Subtitle A Highway Traffic Safety Sector 24101. Authorization of Appropriations. Sector 24102. Highway Safety Programs. Sector 24103. Highway Safety Research and Development. Sector 24104. High Visibility Enforcement Programs. Sector 24105. National Priority Safety Programs. Sector 24106. Multiple Substance Impaired Driving Prevention. Sector 24107. Minimum penalties for repeat offenders for driving while intoxicated or driving under the influence. Sector 24108. Crash data. Sector 24109. Review of move over or slow down law public awareness. Sector 24110. Review of laws, safety measures, and technologies relating to school buses. Sector 24111. Motorcyclist Advisory Council. Sector 24112. Safe Streets and Roads for All Grant Program. Sector 24113. Implementation of GAO recommendations. Subtitle B Vehicle Safety Sector 24201. Authorization of Appropriations. Sector 24202. Recall completion. Sector 24203. Recall engagement. Sector 24204. Motor Vehicle Seat Back Safety Standards. Sector 24205. Automatic Shutoff. Sector 24206. Petitions by interested persons for standards and enforcement. Sector 24207. Child Safety Seat Accessibility Study. Sector 24208. Crash Avoidance Technology. Sector 24209. Reduction of driver distraction. Sector 24210. Rulemaking Report. Sector 24211. Global Harmonization. Sector 24212. Headlamps. Sector 24213. New Car Assessment Program. Sector 24214. Hood and bumper standards. Sector 24215. Emergency medical services N911. Sector 24216. Early warning reporting. Sector 24217. Improved vehicle safety databases. Sector 24218. National Driver Register Advisory Committee repeal. Sector 24219. Research on connected vehicle technology. Sector 24220. Advanced impaired driving technology. Sector 24221. DAO report on crash dummies. Sector 24222. Child safety. Title V Research and Innovation Sector 25001. Intelligent Transportation Systems Program Advisory Committee. Sector 25002. Smart Community Resource Center. Sector 25003. Federal Support for Local Decision Making. Sector 25004. Bureau of Transportation Statistics. Sector 25005. Strengthening Mobility and Revolutionizing Transportation Grant Program. Sector 25006. Electric Vehicle Working Group. 8 HR 3684 EAS Sector 25007. Risk and System Resilience. Sector 25008. Coordination on Emerging Transportation Technology. Sector 25009. Interagency Infrastructure Permitting Improvement Center. Sector 25010. Rural Opportunities to Use Transportation for Economic Success Initiative. Sector 25011. Safety Data Initiative. Sector 25012. Advanced Transportation Research. Sector 25013. Open Research Initiative. Sector 25014. Transportation Research and Development 5-Year Strategic Plan. Sector 25015. Research Planning Modifications. Sector 25016. Incorporation of Department of Transportation Research. Sector 25017. University Transportation Centers Program. Sector 25018. National Travel and Tourism Infrastructure Strategic Plan. Sector 25019. Local Hiring Preference for Construction Jobs. Sector 25020. Transportation Workforce Development. Sector 25021. Intermodal Transportation Advisory Board repeal. Sector 25022. Gauss Cybersecurity Recommendations. Sector 25023. Volpe Oversight. Sector 25024. Modifications to Grant Program. Sector 25025. Drug Impaired Driving Data Collection. Sector 25026. Report on Marijuana Research. Sector 25027. Gauss Study on Improving the Efficiency of Traffic Systems. Title VI Hazardous Materials Sector 26001. Authorization of Appropriations. Sector 26002. Assistance for Local Emergency Response Training Grant Program. Sector 26003. Real-Time Emergency Response Information. Title VII General Provisions Sector 27001. Performance Measurement, Transparency, and Accountability. Sector 27002. Coordination regarding forced labor. Sector 27003. Department of Transportation Spectrum Audit. Sector 27004. Study and reports on the travel and tourism activities of the department. Title 8 Sport Fish Restoration and Recreational Boating Safety Sector 28001. Sport Fish Restoration and Recreational Boating Safety. Division C Transit Seconds 30001. Definitions. Seconds 30002. Metropolitan Transportation Planning. Seconds 30003. Statewide and non-metropolitan transportation planning. Seconds 30004. Planning programs. Seconds 30005. Fixed GUIDAV capital investment grants. Seconds 30006. Formula grants for rural areas. Seconds 30007. Public transportation innovation. Seconds 30008. Bus testing facilities. Seconds 30009. Transit-oriented development. Seconds 30010. General provisions. Seconds 30011. Public Transportation Emergency Relief Program. Seconds 30012. Public Transportation Safety Program. Seconds 30013. Administrative provisions. 9 H.R. 3684 EAS Seconds 30014. National Transit Database. Seconds 30015. Apportionment of appropriations for formula grants. Seconds 30016. State of Good Repair grants. Seconds 30017. Authorizations. Seconds 30018. Grants for buses and bus facilities. Seconds 30019. Washington Metropolitan Area Transit Authority Safety, Accountability, and Investment. Division D Energy Sector 40001. Definitions. Title I Grid Infrastructure and Resiliency. Subtitle A Grid Infrastructure Resilience and Reliability Sector 40101. Preventing outages and enhancing the resilience of the electric grid. Sector 40102. Hazard mitigation using disaster assistance. Sector 40103. Electric grid reliability and resilience research, development, and demonstration. Sector 40104. Utility demand response. Sector 40105. Siting of interstate electric transmission facilities. Sector 40106. Transmission Facilitation Program. Sector 40107. Deployment of technologies to enhance grid flexibility. Sector 40108. State Energy Security Plans. Sector 40109. State Energy Program. Sector 40110. Power Marketing Administration Transmission Borrowing Authority. Sector 40111. Study of codes and standards for use of energy storage systems across sectors. Sector 40112. Demonstration of electric vehicle battery second life applications for grid services. Sector 40113. Columbia Basin Power Management. Subtitle B Cybersecurity Sector 40121. Enhancing grid security through public-private partnerships. Sector 40122. Energy Cyber Sense Program. Sector 40123. Incentives for advanced cybersecurity technology investment. Sector 40124. Rural and Municipal Utility Advanced Cybersecurity Grant and Technical Assistance Program. Sector 40125. Enhanced Grid Security. Sector 40126. Cybersecurity Plan. Sector 40127. Savings Provision. Title II Supply Chains for Clean Energy Technologies. Sector 40201. Earth Mapping Resources Initiative. Sector 40202. National Cooperative Geologic Mapping Program. Sector 40203. National Geological and Geophysical Data Preservation Program. Sector 40204. USGS Energy and Minerals Research Facility. Sector 40205. Rare Earth Elements Demonstration Facility. Sector 40206. Critical Minerals Supply Chains and Reliability. Sector 40207. Battery Processing and Manufacturing. Sector 40208. Electric Drive Vehicle Battery Recycling and Second Life Applications Program. Sector 40209. Advanced Energy Manufacturing and Recycling Grant Program. Sector 40210. Critical Minerals Mining and Recycling Research. 10 HR 3684 EAS Sector 40211. 21st Century Energy Workforce Advisory Board. Title III Fuels and Technology Infrastructure Investments Subtitle A Carbon Capture, Utilization, Storage, and Transportation Infrastructure Sector 40301. Findings. Sector 40302. Carbon Utilization Program. Sector 40303. Carbon Capture Technology Program. Sector 40304. Carbon Dioxide Transportation Infrastructure Finance and Innovation. Sector 40305. Carbon Storage Validation and Testing. Sector 40306. Secure Geologic Storage Permitting. Sector 40307. Geologic Carbon Sequestration on the Outer Continental Shelf. Sector 40308. Carbon Removal. Subtitle B Hydrogen Research and Development Sector 40311. Findings, Purpose. Sector 40312. Definitions. Sector 40313. Clean Hydrogen Research and Development Program. Sector 40314. Additional Clean Hydrogen Programs. Sector 40315. Clean Hydrogen Production Qualifications. Subtitle C Nuclear Energy Infrastructure Sector 40321. Infrastructure Planning for Micro and Small Modular Nuclear Reactors. Sector 40322. Property interests relating to certain projects and protection of information relating to certain agreements. Sector 40323. Civil Nuclear Credit Program. Subtitle D Hydropower Sector 40331. Hydroelectric Production Incentives. Sector 40332. Hydroelectric Efficiency Improvement Incentives. Sector 40333. Maintaining and Enhancing Hydroelectricity Incentives. Sector 40334. Pump Storage Hydropower Wind and Solar Integration and System Reliability Initiative. Sector 40335. Authority for Pump Storage Hydropower Development using Multiple Bureau of Reclamation Reservoirs. Sector 40336. Limitations on issuance of certain leases of power privilege. Subtitle E Miscellaneous Sector 40341. Solar Energy Technologies on Current and Former Mine Land. Sector 40342. Clean Energy Demonstration Program on Current and Former Mine Land. Sector 40343. Leases, easements, and rights of way for energy and related purposes on the Outer Continental Shelf. Title 4 Enabling Energy Infrastructure Investment and Data Collection. Subtitle A Department of Energy Loan Program. Sector 40401. Department of Energy Loan Programs. 11 H.R. 3684 EAS Subtitle B Energy Information Administration Sector 40411 Definitions. Sector 40412 Data collection in the electricity sector. Sector 40413 Expansion of energy consumption surveys. Sector 40414 Data collection on electric vehicle integration with the electricity grids. Sector 40415 Plan for the modeling and forecasting of demand for minerals used in the energy sector. Sector 40416 Expansion of international energy data. Sector 40417 Plan for the National Energy Modeling System. Sector 40418 Report on costs of carbon abatement in the electricity sector. Sector 40419 Harmonization of efforts and data. Subtitle C Miscellaneous Sector 40431 Consideration of measures to promote greater electrification of the transportation sector. Sector 40432 Office of Public Participation. Sector 40433 Digital Climate Solutions Report. Sector 40434 Study and report by the Secretary of Energy on job loss and impacts on consumer energy costs due to the revocation of the permit for the Keystone XL pipeline. Sector 40435 Study on impact of electric vehicles. Sector 40436 Study on impact of forced labor in China on the electric vehicle supply chain. Title V Energy Efficiency and Building Infrastructure. Subtitle A Residential and Commercial Energy Efficiency Sector 40501 Definitions. Sector 40502 Energy Efficiency Revolving Loan Fund Capitalization Grant Program. Sector 40503 Energy Auditor Training Grant Program. Subtitle B Buildings Sector 40511 Cost-Effective Codes Implementation for Efficiency and Resilience. Sector 40512 Building, Training, and Assessment Centers. Sector 40513 Career Skills Training. Sector 40514 Commercial Building Energy Consumption Information Sharing. Subtitle C Industrial Energy Efficiency Part I Industry Sector 40521 Future of Industry Program and Industrial Research and Assessment Centers. Sector 40522 Sustainable Manufacturing Initiative. Part 2 Smart Manufacturing Sector 40531 Definitions. Sector 40532 Leveraging existing agency programs to assist small and medium manufacturers. Sector 40533 Leveraging smart manufacturing infrastructure at national laboratories. Sector 40534 State Manufacturing Leadership. 12 H.R. 3684 EAS Sector 40535 Report. Subtitle D Schools and Nonprofits Sector 40541 Grants for Energy Efficiency Improvements and Renewable Energy Improvements at Public School Facilities. Sector 40542 Energy Efficiency Materials Pilot Program. Subtitle E Miscellaneous Sector 40551 Weatherization Assistance Program. Sector 40552 Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant Program. Sector 40553 Survey, Analysis, and Report on Employment and Demographics in the Energy, Energy Efficiency, and Motor Vehicle Sectors of the United States. Sector 40554 Assisting Federal Facilities with Energy Conservation Technologies Grant Program. Sector 40,555. Rebates. Sector 40,556. Model Guidance for Combined Heat and Power Systems and Waste Heat to Power Systems. Title 6 Methane Reduction Infrastructure Sector 40,601. Orphaned Well Side Plugging, Remediation, and Restoration. Title 7 Abandoned Mine Land Reclamation Sector 40,701. Abandoned Mine Reclamation Fund Authorization of Appropriations. Sector 40,702. Abandoned Mine Reclamation Fee. Sector 40,703. Amounts distributed from Abandoned Mine Reclamation Fund. Sector 40,704. Abandoned Hard Rock Mine Reclamation. Title 8 Natural Resources Related Infrastructure, Wildfire Management, and Ecosystem Restoration Sector 40,801. Forest Service Legacy Road and Trail Remediation Program. Sector 40,802. Study and report on feasibility of revegetating reclaimed mine sites. Sector 40,803. Wildfire Risk Reduction. Sector 40,804. Ecosystem Restoration. Sector 40,805. GAO Study. Sector 40,806. Establishment of fuel breaks in forests and other wildland vegetation. Sector 40,807. Emergency Actions. Sector 40,808. Joint Chiefs Landscape Restoration Partnership Program. Title 9 Western Water Infrastructure Sector 40,901. Authorizations of Appropriations. Sector 40,902. Water Storage, Groundwater Storage and Conveyance Projects. Sector 40,903. Small Water Storage and Groundwater Storage Projects. Sector 40,904. Critical Maintenance and Repair. Sector 40,905. Competitive Grant Program for Large-Scale Water Recycling and Reuse Program. Sector 40,906. Drought Contingency Plan Funding Requirements. Sector 40,907. Multi-benefit projects to improve watershed health. Sector 40,908. Eligible desalination projects. Sector 40,909. Clarification of authority to use coronavirus fiscal recovery funds to meet a non-federal matching requirement for authorized Bureau of Reclamation water projects. 13 H.R. 3684 EAS Sector 40,910. Federal assistance for groundwater recharge, aquifer storage, and water source substitution projects. Title X Authorization of Appropriations for Energy Act of 2020 Sector 41,001. Energy Storage Demonstration Projects. Sector 41,002. Advanced Reactor Demonstration Program. Sector 41,003. Mineral Security Projects. Sector 41,004. Carbon Capture Demonstration and Pilot Programs. Sector 41,005. Direct Air Capture Technologies Prize Competitions. Sector 41,006. Water Power Projects. Sector 41,007. Renewable Energy Projects. Sector 41,008. Industrial Emissions Demonstration Projects. Title 11 Wage Rate Requirements Sector 41,101. Wage Rate Requirements. Title 12 Miscellaneous Sector 41,201. Office of Clean Energy Demonstrations. Sector 41,202. Extension of Secure Rural Schools and Community Self-Determination Act of 2000. Division E Drinking Water and Wastewater Infrastructure Sector 50,001. Short title. Sector 50,002. Definition of administrator. Title I Drinking Water Sector 50101. Technical assistance and grants for emergencies affecting public water systems. Sector 50102. Drinking Water State Revolving Loan Funds. Sector 50103. Source Water Petition Program. Sector 50104. Assistance for Small and Disadvantaged Communities. Sector 50105. Reducing Lead in Drinking Water. Sector 50106. Operational Sustainability of Small Public Water Systems. Sector 50107. Midsize and Large Drinking Water System Infrastructure Resilience and Sustainability Program. Sector 50108. Needs Assessment for Nationwide Rural and Urban Low-Income Community Water Assistance. Sector 50109. Rural and Low-Income Water Assistance Pilot Program. Sector 50110. Lead Contamination in School Drinking Water. Sector 50111. Indian Reservation Drinking Water Program. Sector 50112. Advanced Drinking Water Technologies. Sector 50113. Cybersecurity Support for Public Water Systems. Sector 50114. State Response to Contaminants. Sector 50115. Annual Study on Boil Water Advisories. Title II Clean Water Sector 50201. Research, Investigations, Training, and Information. Sector 50202. Wastewater Efficiency Grant Pilot Program. Sector 50203. Pilot Program for Alternative Water Source Projects. Sector 50204. Sewer Overflow and Stormwater Reuse Municipal Grants. 14 H.R. 3684 EAS Sector 50205. Clean Water Infrastructure Resiliency and Sustainability Program. Sector 50206. Small and Medium Publicly Owned Treatment Works Circuit Rider Program. Sector 50207. Small Publicly Owned Treatment Works Efficiency Grant Program. Sector 50208. Grants for construction and refurbishing of individual household decentralized wastewater systems for individuals with low or moderate income. Sector 50209. Connection to publicly owned treatment works. Sector 50210. Clean Water State Revolving Funds. Sector 50211. Water Infrastructure and Workforce Investment. Sector 50212. Grants to Alaska to improve sanitation in rural and native villages. Sector 50213. Water Data Sharing Pilot Program. Sector 50214. Final Rating Opinion Letters. Sector 50215. Water Infrastructure Financing Reauthorization. Sector 50216. Small and Disadvantaged Community Analysis. Sector 50217. Stormwater Infrastructure Technology. Sector 50218. Water Reuse Interagency Working Group. Sector 50219. Advanced Clean Water Technologies Study. Sector 50220. Clean Watersheds Needs Survey. Sector 50221. Water Resources Research Act Amendments. Sector 50222. Enhanced Aquifer Use and Recharge. Division F Broadband Title I Broadband Grants for States, District of Columbia, Puerto Rico and Territories Sector 60101. Findings. Sector 60102. Grants for broadband deployment. Sector 60103. Broadband Data Maps. Sector 60104. Report on Future of Universal Service Fund. Sector 60105. Broadband Deployment Locations Map. Title II Tribal Connectivity Technical Amendments. Sector 60201. Tribal Connectivity Technical Amendments. Title III Digital Equity Act of 2021 Sector 60301. Short title. Sector 60302. Definitions. Sector 60303. Sense of Congress. Sector 60304. State Digital Equity Capacity Grant Program. Sector 60305. Digital Equity Competitive Grant Program. Sector 60306. Policy Research, Data Collection, Analysis and Modeling, Evaluation, and Dissemination. Sector 60307. General Provisions. Title IV Enabling Middle Mile Broadband Infrastructure Sector 60401. Enabling Middle Mile Broadband Infrastructure. Title V Broadband Affordability Sector 60501. Definitions. Sector 60502. Broadband Affordability. Sector 60503. Coordination with certain other federal agencies. Sector 60504. Adoption of consumer broadband labels. 15 H.R. 3684 EAS Sector 60505. Dow Report. Sector 60506. Digital Discrimination. Title VI Telecommunications Industry Workforce Sector 60601. Short title. Sector 60602. Telecommunications Interagency Working Group. Sector 60603. Telecommunications Workforce Guidance. Sector 60604. GAO Assessment of Workforce Needs of the Telecommunications Industry. Division G Other Authorizations Title I Indian Water Rights Settlement Completion Funds Sector 70101. Indian Water Rights Settlement Completion Fund. Title II Wildfire Mitigation Sector 70201. Short title. Sector 70202. Definitions. Sector 70203. Establishment of Commission. Sector 70204. Duties of Commission. Sector 70205. Powers of Commission. Sector 70206. Commission Personnel Matters. Sector 70207. Termination of Commission. Title III Reforestation Sector 70301. Short title. Sector 70302. Reforestation following wildfires and other unplanned events. Sector 70303. Report. Title IV Recycling Practices Sector 70401. Best Practices for Battery Recycling and Labeling Guidelines. Sector 70402. Consumer Recycling Education and Outreach Grant Program, Federal Procurement. Title V Bioproduct Pilot Program Sector 70501. Pilot Program on Use of Agricultural Commodities in Construction and Consumer Products. Title VI Cybersecurity Subtitle A Cyber Response and Recovery Act Sector 70601. Short title. Sector 70602. Declaration of a Significant Incident. Subtitle B State and Local Cybersecurity Improvement Act Sector 70611. Short title. Sector 70612. State and Local Cybersecurity Grant Program. Title 7 Public-Private Partnerships Sector 70701. Value for Money Analysis. 16 H.R. 3684 EAS Title 8 Federal Permitting Improvement Sector 70801. Federal Permitting Improvement. Title 9 Build America, Buy America Subtitle A Build America, Buy America Sector 70901. Short title. Part I Buy America Sourcing Requirements Sector 70911. Findings. Sector 70912. Definitions. Sector 70913. Identification of deficient programs. Sector 70914. Application of Buy America Preference. Sector 70915. OMB Guidance and Standards. Sector 70916. Technical Assistance Partnership and Consultation Supporting Department of Transportation Buy America Requirements. Sector 70917. Application. Part 2 Make It in America Sector 70921. Regulations relating to Buy American Act. Sector 70922. Amendments relating to Buy American Act. Sector 70923. Made in America Office. Sector 70924. Hollings Manufacturing Extension Partnership Activities. Sector 70925. United States Obligations under International Agreements. Sector 70926. Definitions. Sector 70927. Prospective amendments to internal cross-references. Subtitle B Buy American.gov Sector 70931. Short title. Sector 70932. Definitions. Sector 70933. Sense of Congress on Buying American. Sector 70934. Assessment of Impact of Free Trade Agreements. Sector 70935. Judicious Use of Waivers. Sector 70936. Establishment of BuyAmerican.gov website. Sector 70937. Waiver Transparency and Streamlining for Contracts. Sector 70938. Controller General Report. Sector 70939. Rules of Construction. Sector 70940. Consistency with International Agreements. Sector 70941. Prospective Amendments to Internal Cross-References. Subtitle C Make PPE in America Sector 70951. Short title. Sector 70952. Findings. Sector 70953. Requirement of long-term contracts for domestically manufactured personal protective equipment. Title X Asset Concessions Sector 71001. Asset Concessions. Title 11 Clean School Buses and Ferries Sector 71101. Clean School Bus Program. 17 H.R. 3684 EAS Sector 71102. Electric or Low-Emitting Ferry Pilot Program. Sector 71103. Ferry Service for Rural Communities. Sector 71104. Expanding the funding authority for renovating, constructing, and expanding certain facilities. Division H Revenue Provisions Title I Highway Trust Fund Sector 80101. Extension of Highway Trust Fund Expenditure Authority. Sector 80102. Extension of highway-related taxes. Sector 80103. Further additional transfers to Trust Fund. Title II Chemical Superfund Sector 80201. Extension and modification of certain Superfund excise taxes. Title III Customs User Fees Sector 80301. Extension of customs user fees. Title IV Bond Provisions Sector 80401. Private activity bonds for qualified broadband projects. Sector 80402. Carbon dioxide capture facilities. Sector 80403. Increase in national limitation amount for qualified highway or surface freight transportation facilities. Title V Relief for taxpayers affected by disasters or other critical events Sector 80501. Modification of automatic extension of certain deadlines in the case of taxpayers affected by federally declared disasters. Sector 80502. Modifications of rules for postponing certain acts by reason of service in combat zone or contingency operation. Sector 80503. Tolling of time for filing a petition with the tax court. Sector 80504. Authority to postpone certain tax deadlines by reason of significant fires. Title VI Other Provisions Sector 80601. Modification of tax treatment of contributions to the capital of a corporation. Sector 80602. Extension of interest rate stabilization. Sector 80603. Information reporting for brokers and digital assets. Sector 80604. Termination of employee retention credit for employers subject to CLO sure due to COVID-19. Division I Other Matters Sector 90001. Extension of direct spending reductions through fiscal year 2031. Sector 90002. Strategic Petroleum Reserve Drawdown and Sale. Sector 90003. Findings regarding unused unemployment insurance funds. Sector 90004. Requiring manufacturers of certain single-dose container or single-use package drugs payable under Part B of the Medicare program to provide refunds with respect to discarded amounts of such drugs. Sector 90005. Extension of enterprise guarantee fees. 18 H.R. 3684 EAS Sector 90006. Moratorium on implementation of rule relating to eliminating the anti-kickback statute safe harbor protection for prescription drug rebates. Sector 90007. Rescission of COVID-19 appropriations. Sector 90008. Spectrum auctions. Division J Appropriations Title I Agriculture, Rural Development, Food and Drug Administration, and related agencies Title II Commerce, Justice, Science, and related agencies Title III Energy and Water Development and related agencies Title IV Financial Services and General Government Title V Department of Homeland Security Title VI Department of the Interior, Environment, and related agencies Title VII Labor, Health, and Human Services, and Education, and related agencies Title VIII Transportation, Housing, and Urban Development, and related agencies Title IX General Provisions This Division K Minority Business Development Sector 100,001. Short Title. Sector 100,002. Definitions. Sector 100,003. Minority Business Development Agency. Title I Existing Initiatives Subtitle A Market Development, Research and Information Sector 100,101. Private Sector Development. Sector 100,102. Public Sector Development. Sector 100,103. Research and Information. Subtitle B Minority Business Development Agency Business Center Program Sector 100,111. Definition. Sector 100,112. Purpose. Sector 100,113. Establishment. Sector 100,114. Grants and Cooperative Agreements. Sector 100,115. Minimizing disruptions to existing MBDA Business Center program. Sector 100,116. Publicity. Title II New Initiatives to Promote Economic Resiliency for Minority Businesses. Sector 100,201. Annual Diverse Business Forum on Capital Formation. 19 H.R. 3684 EAS. Sector 100,202. Agency Study on Alternative Financing Solutions. Sector 100,203. Educational Development Relating to Management and Entrepreneurship. Title III Rural Minority Business Center Program. Sector 100,301. Definitions. Sector 100,302. Business Centers. Sector 100,303. Report to Congress. Sector 100,304. Study and Report. Title IV Minority Business Development Grants. Sector 100,401. Grants to nonprofit organizations that support minority business enterprises. Title V Minority Business Enterprises Advisory Council. Sector 100,501. Purpose. Sector 100,502. Composition and Term. Sector 100,503. Duties. Title VI Federal Coordination of Minority Business Programs. Sector 100,601. General Duties. Sector 100,602. Participation of Federal Departments and Agencies. Title VII Administrative Powers of the Agency, Miscellaneous Provisions. Sector 100,701. Administrative Powers. Sector 100,702. Federal Assistance. Sector 100,703. Record Keeping. Sector 100,704. Review and Report by Controller General. Sector 100,705. Biannual Reports, Recommendations. Sector 100,706. Separability. Sector 100,707. Executive Order 11,625. Sector 100,708. Authorization of Appropriations. 1 SEC 2. References. To accept as expressly provided otherwise, any reference 3 to this Act contained in any division of this Act shall 4 be treated as referring only to the provisions of that DV 5 Zion 20 HR 3684 EAS 1 Division A Surface 2 Transportation 3 SEC 10001. Short title. 4. This division may be cited American Samoa The Surface Transfer 5 Tashin Reauthorization Act of 2021 6 SEC 10002. Definitions. 7. In this division, 8. 1. Department. The term Department 9 means the Department of Transportation. 10. 2. Secretary. The term Secretary means 11. The Secretary of Transportation. 12 SEC 10003. Effective date. 13. Except as otherwise provided, this division and the 14 amendments made by this division take effect on October 15, 2021. 16. Title I Federal Aid 17 Highways 18 Subtitle A Authorizations and 19 Programs 20 SEC 11,101. Authorization of Appropriations. 21. A. In general the following amounts are authored 22ized to be appropriated out of the Highway Trust Fund 23, other than the Mass Transit Account 24, 1. Federal Aid Highway Program for the 25 National Highway Performance Program under Section 21 H.R. 3684 EAS 119 of Title 23, United States Code, the Surface Transportation Block Grant Program under Section 133 of 3 that title, the Highway Safety Improvement Program 4 under Section 148 of that title, the Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Improvement Program under SEC Section 149 of that title, the National Highway Freight 7 Program under Section 167 of that title, the carbon reduction program under Section 175 of that title, to 9 carry out subsection C of the Protect Program 10 under Section 176 of that title, and to carry out SEC 11 Gen 134 of that title 12, A. $52,488,065,375 for fiscal year 2022, 13, B. $53,537,826,683 for fiscal year 2023, 14, C. $54,608,583,217 for fiscal year 2024, 15, D. $55,700,754,881 for fiscal year 2025, 16 and 17, E. $56,814,769,844 for fiscal year 2026. 18, 2. Transportation Infrastructure Finance 19 and Innovation Program for Credit Assistance 20 under the Transportation Infrastructure Finance and 21 Innovation Program under Chapter 6 of Title 23, 22 United States Code, $250 million for each of fiscal 23 years 2022 through 2026. 24, 3. Federal Lands and Tribal Transport 25 Tashin Programs 22 H.R. 3684 EAS 1, A. Tribal Transportation Program 2 for the Tribal Transportation Program under SEC 3 Shin 202 of Title 23, United States Code 4, I. $578,460,000 for fiscal year 2022, 5, 2. $589,960,000 for fiscal year 2023, 6, 3. $602,460,000 for fiscal year 2024, 7, 4. $612,960,000 for fiscal year 2025, 8 and 9, v. $627,960,000 for fiscal year 2026. 10, b. Federal Lands Transportation Pro 11 Gram 12, I. In general for the Federal 13 Lands Transportation Program under Section 14203 of Title 23, United States Code 15, I. $421,965,000 for fiscal year 16 2022, 17, 2. $429,965,000 for fiscal year 18 2023, 19, 3. $438,965,000 for fiscal year 2024, 21, 4. $447,965,000 for fiscal year 2025, and 23, v. $455,965,000 for fiscal year 2026. 23 H.R. 3684 EAS 1, 2. Allocation of the amount to made available for a fiscal year under 3 clause, I. 4, I. The amount for the National 5 Park Service is 6, A. $332,427,450 for fiscal 7 year 2022, 8, BB. $338,867,450 for fiscal 9 year 2023, 10, CC. $346,237,450 for fiscal 11 year 2024, 12, DD. $353,607,450 for fiscal 13 year 2025, and 14, EE. $360,047,450 for fiscal 15 year 2026, 16, 2. The amount for the United 17 States Fish and Wildlife Service is $18.36 million for each of fiscal years 19 2022 through 2026, and 20, 3. The amount for the Forest 21 service is $22 $24 million for fiscal 23 year 2022-24, BB, $25 million for fiscal 25 year 2023-24 HR 3684 EAS1, CC, $26 million for fiscal 2 year 2024, 3, DD, $27 million for fiscal 4 year 2025, and 5, EE, $28 million for fiscal 6 year 2026. 7. C. Federal Lands Access Program Aid for the Federal Lands Access Program under SEC 9 Jan 204 of Title 23, United States Code 10, I, $285,975,000 for fiscal year 2022, 11, 2. $291,975,000 for fiscal year 2023, 12, 3. $296,975,000 for fiscal year 2024, 13, 4. $303,975,000 for fiscal year 2025, 14 and 15, v. $308,975,000 for fiscal year 2026. 16, 4. Territorial and Puerto Rico Highway 17 Program for the Territorial and Puerto Rico High 18-Way Program under Section 165 of Title 23, United 19 States Code 20, A, $219 million for fiscal year 2022, 21, B, $224 million for fiscal year 2023, 22, C, $228 million for fiscal year 2024, 23, D, $232,500,000 for fiscal year 2025, and 24, E, $237 million for fiscal year 2026. 25 HR 3684 EAS1, 5, Nationally Significant Freight and 2 Highway Projects for Nationally Significant 3 Freight and Highway Projects under Section 117 of Title 423, United States Code 5, A, $1 billion for fiscal year 2022, 6, B, $1 billion for fiscal year 2023, 7, C, $1 billion for fiscal year 2024, 8, D, $900 million for fiscal year 2025, and 9, E, $900 million for fiscal year 2026. 10, B, Other Programs 11, 1. In general, the following amounts are 12 authorized to be appropriated out of the Highway 13 Trust Fund, other than the Mass Transit Account 14, A, Bridge Investment Program to 15, carry out the Bridge Investment Program under 16 Section 124 of Title 23, United States Code 17, I, $600 million for fiscal year 2022, 18, 2. $640 million for fiscal year 2023, 19, 3. $650 million for fiscal year 2024, 20, 4. $675 million for fiscal year 2025, 21 and 22, v. $700 million for fiscal year 2026. 23, b. Congestion Relief Program to 24, carry out the Congestion Relief Program under 25 Section 129, d, of Title 23, United States Code 26 HR 3684 EAS $150 million for each of fiscal years 2022 through 2026. 3. C. Charging and Fueling Infrastructure Grants to carry out Section 151, F, of 5 Title 23, United States Code 6, I, $300 million for fiscal year 2022, 7, 2. $400 million for fiscal year 2023, 8, 3. $500 million for fiscal year 2024, 9, 4. $600 million for fiscal year 2025, 10 and 11, v. $700 million for fiscal year 2026. 12. D. Rural Surface Transportation 13 Grant Program to carry out the Rural SUR 14 Phase Transportation Grant Program under Section 15173 of Title 23, United States Code 16, I. $300 million for fiscal year 2022, 17, 2. $350 million for fiscal year 2023, 18, 3. $400 million for fiscal year 2024, 19, 4. $450 million for fiscal year 2025, 20 and 21, v. $500 million for fiscal year 2026. 22, E. Protect Grants 23, I. In general to carry out Sub-24 Section, D. of the Protect Program 25 under Section 176 of Title 23, United States 27 H.R. 3684 EAS1 Code, for each of fiscal years 2022 through 2026 3, I. $250 million for fiscal year 4 2022, 5, 2. $250 million for fiscal year 6 2023, 7, 3. $300 million for fiscal year 8 2024, 9, 4. $300 million for fiscal year 10 2025, and 11, v. $300 million for fiscal year 12 2026. 13, 2. Allocation of the amounts 14 made available under Clause I. 15, I. for planning grants under 16 paragraph 3, of that subsection 17, A. $25 million for fiscal 18 year 2022, 19, BB. $25 million for fiscal 20 year 2023, 21, CC. $30 million for fiscal 22 year 2024, 23, DD. $30 million for fiscal 24 year 2025, and 28 H.R. 3684 EAS1, EE. $30 million for fiscal 2 year 2026, 3, 2, for resilience improvement for grants under paragraph 4, A, of that 5 subsection 6, A, $175 million for fiscal 7 year 2022, 8, BB, $175 million for fiscal 9 year 2023, 10, CC, $210 million for fiscal 11 year 2024, 12, DD, $210 million for fiscal 13 year 2025, and 14, EE, $210 million for fiscal 15 year 2026, 16, 3, for community resilience 17 and evacuation route grants under 18 paragraph 4, B, of that subsection 19, A, $25 million for fiscal 20 year 2022, 21, BB, $25 million for fiscal 22 year 2023, 23, CC, $30 million for fiscal 24 year 2024, 29 H.R. 3684 EAS1, DD, $30 million for fiscal 2 year 2025, and 3, EE, $30 million for fiscal 4 year 2026, and 5, 4, for at-risk coastal infrastructure grants under paragraph 4, C, of 7 that subsection 8, A, $25 million for fiscal 9 year 2022, 10, BB, $25 million for fiscal 11 year 2023, 12, CC, $30 million for fiscal 13 year 2024, 14, DD, $30 million for fiscal 15 year 2025, and 16, EE, $30 million for fiscal 17 year 2026. 18, F. Reduction of truck emissions at 19 port facilities 20, I. In general to carry out the RE21 reduction of truck emissions at port facilities 22 under Section 11402, $50 million for each of 23 fiscal years 2022 through 2026. 24. 2. Treatment amounts made 25 available under Clause I, shall be available 30 H.R. 3684 EAS 1 for obligation in the same manner as if to those amounts were apportioned under 3 Chapter 1 of Title 23, United States Code. 4. G. Nationally significant federal 5 lands and tribal projects 6. I. In general to carry out the NA-7 significant federal lands and Trib 8 AL projects program under Section 1123 of 9 the FAST Act, 23 U.S.C. 201 Note, Public 10 Law 114-94, $55 million for each of fiscal 11 years 2022 through 2026. 12. 2. Treatment amounts made 13 available under Clause I, shall be available 14 for obligation in the same manner as if 15 those amounts were apportioned under 16 Chapter 1 of Title 23, United States Code. 17. 2. General Fund 18, A. Bridge Investment Program 19, I. In general in addition to 20 amounts made available under Paragraph 21, 1, A. There are authorized to be APRO 22 provided to carry out the Bridge Investment 23 program under Section 124 of Title 23, 24 United States Code 31 H.R. 3684 EAS 1, I. $600 million for fiscal year 2 2022, 3, 2, $640 million for fiscal year 4 2023, 5, 3, $650 million for fiscal year 6 2024, 7, 4, $675 million for fiscal year 8 2025, and 9, v. $700 million for fiscal year 10 2026. 11. 2. Allocation amounts made 12 available under Clause I, shall be allocated 13 in the same manner as if made available 14 under Paragraph 1, A. 15. B. Nationally significant federal 16 lands and tribal projects program in Add 17 addition to amounts made available under Para 18 Graph 1, G. There is authorized to be APRO 19 provided to carry out Section 1123 of the FAST 20 Act, 23 U.S.C. 201 Note, Public Law 114-94, 21 $300 million for each of fiscal years 2022 through 2026. 23. C. Healthy Streets Program There 24 is authorized to be appropriated to carry out the 25 Healthy Streets Program under Section 1140-632 H.R. 3684 EAS 1 $100 million for each of fiscal years 2022 through 2026. 3. D. Transportation Resilience and AD4 Adaptation Centers of Excellence There is 5 authorized to be appropriated to carry out SEC Section 520 of Title 23, United States Code, 7 $100 million for each of fiscal years 2022 8 through 2026. 9. E. Open Challenge and Research Pro 10 Proposal Pilot Program There is authorized to 11 be appropriated to carry out the Open Challenge 12 and Research Proposal Pilot Program under SEC 13-13006, E. $15 million for each of fiscal years 14 2022 through 2026. 15. C. Research, Technology, and Education 016 Authorization 17, 1. In general the following amounts are 18 authorized to be appropriated out of the Highway 19 Trust Fund, other than the Mass Transit Account 20, A. Highway Research and Develop 21 MENT Program to carry out Section 503, B, of 22 Title 23, United States Code, $147 million for 23 each of fiscal years 2022 through 2026 24, B. Technology and Innovation Deploy 25 MENT Program to carry out Section 503, C, of 33 H.R. 3684 EAS 1. Title 23, United States Code, $110 million for 2 each of fiscal years 2022 through 2026. 3. C. Training and Education to carry out Section 504 of Title 23, United States Code 5, I, $25 million for fiscal year 2022, 6, 2, $25,250,000 for fiscal year 2023, 7, 3, $25,500,000 for fiscal year 2024, 8, 4, $25,750,000 for fiscal year 2025, 9 and 10, v. $26 million for fiscal year 2026. 11, d. Intelligent Transportation SYS-12 TEMS program to carry out sections 512.13 through 518 of Title 23, United States Code, 14, $110 million for each of fiscal years 2022-15 through 2026. 16, e. University Transportation Centers 17 program to carry out Section 5505 of Title 49, 18 United States Code 19, I, $80 million for fiscal year 2022, 20, 2, $80,500,000 for fiscal year 2023, 21, 3, $81 million for fiscal year 2024, 22, 4, $81,500,000 for fiscal year 2025, 23 and 24, v. $82 million for fiscal year 2026. 34 H.R. 3684 EAS1, F. Bureau of Transportation Status 2 ticks to carry out Chapter 63 of Title 49, 3 United States Code 4, I, $26 million for fiscal year 2022, 5, 2, $26,250,000 for fiscal year 2023, 6, 3, $26,500,000 for fiscal year 2024, 7, 4, $26,750,000 for fiscal year 2025, 8 and 9, v. $27 million for fiscal year 2026. 10, 2. Administration. The Federal Highway 11 Administration shall 12, a. Administer the programs described in 13 subparagraphs, a, b, and c, of paragraph 14, 1, and 15, b, in consultation with relevant modal ad 16 ministrations, administer the programs described 17 in paragraph 1, d. 18, 3. Applicability of Title 23, United States 19 Code amounts authorized to be appropriated by 20 paragraph 1, shall 21, a, be available for obligation in the same 22 manner as if those funds were apportioned under 23 Chapter 1 of Title 23, United States Code, except 24 that the federal share of the cost of a project or 25 activity carried out using those funds shall be 80-35 H.R. 3684 EAS 1%, unless otherwise expressly provided by 2. This division, including the amendments by this 3. Division, or otherwise determined by the Sector Forestry, and 5, b, remain available until expended, and 6 not be transferable, except as otherwise provided 7 by this division. 8, d. Pilot programs. The following amounts are 9 authorized to be appropriated out of the Highway Trust 10 Fund, other than the Mass Transit Account 11, 1. Wildlife Crossings Pilot Program 412. The Wildlife Crossings Pilot Program under Section 171.13 of Title 23, United States Code 14, a. $60 million for fiscal year 2022, 15, b. $65 million for fiscal year 2023, 16, c. $70 million for fiscal year 2024, 17, d. $75 million for fiscal year 2025, and 18, e. $80 million for fiscal year 2026. 19, 2. Prioritization Process Pilot Pro 20-gram 21, a. In general for the Prioritization 22 Process Pilot Program under Section 11204, $23.10 million for each of fiscal years 2022 through 2026. 36 H.R. 3684 EAS 1, b. Treatment amounts made available to under subparagraph A shall be available for 3 obligation in the same manner as if those 4 amounts were apportioned under Chapter 1 of 5 Title 23, United States Code. 6. 3. Reconnecting Communities Pilot Pro 7 Gram 8, A. Planning grants for Planning 9 grants under the Reconnecting Communities Pilot 10 program under Section 11509, C. $30 million for 11 each of fiscal years 2022 through 2026. 12. B. Capital construction grants for 13 capital construction grants under the Recon 14 Connecting Communities Pilot Program under Section 1511509, D. 16. I. $65 million for fiscal year 2022, 17, 2, $68 million for fiscal year 2023, 18, 3, $70 million for fiscal year 2024, 19, 4, $72 million for fiscal year 2025, 20 and 21, v. $75 million for fiscal year 2026. 22. C. Treatment amounts made available 23 under subparagraph A, or B, shall be available 24 for obligation in the same manner as if those 25 amounts were apportioned under Chapter 1 of 37 H.R. 3684 EAS 1 Title 23, United States Code, except that those 2 amounts shall remain available until expended. 3. E. Disadvantaged business enterprises for 1. Findings. Congress finds that 5a. While significant progress has occurred 6 due to the establishment of the Disadvantaged 7 Business Enterprise Program, discrimination, and 8 related barriers continue to pose significant obstacles for minority and women-owned busy 10 NESA seeking to do business in federally as 11 surface transportation markets across the 12 United States. 13. B. The continuing barriers described in 14 subparagraph A. Merit the continuation of the 15 Disadvantaged Business Enterprise Program. 16. C. Congress has received and reviewed TES 17 testimony and documentation of race and gender 18 discrimination from numerous sources, including 19 congressional hearings and roundtables, scientific 20 reports, reports issued by public and private 21 agencies, news stories, reports of discrimination 22 by organizations and individuals, and discrimi 23 nation lawsuits, which show that race and gen 24 are neutral. Efforts alone are insufficient to add 25 address the problem. 38 H.R. 3684 EAS 1, D. The testimony and documentation described in subparagraph C. Demonstrate that 3 discrimination across the United States poses a 4 barrier to full and fair participation in surface 5 transportation-related businesses of women busy 6 NES owners and minority business owners and 7 has impacted firm development and many as 8 pecs of surface transportation-related business 9 in the public and private markets. And 10. E. The testimony and documentation 11 scribed in subparagraph C. Provide a strong 12 basis that there is a compelling need for the CON 13 continuation of the Disadvantaged Business Enter 14 Prize Program to address race and gender dis 15 discrimination in surface transportation related 16 business. 17. 2. Definitions in the subsection 18. A. Small business concern 19. I. In general the term small 20 business concern means a small business 21 concern, as the term is used in Section 3 of 22 the Small Business Act, 15 U.S.C. 632, 23, 2. Exclusions. The term small 24 business concern does not include any CON 25 CERN or group of concerns controlled by the 39 H.R. 3684 EAS 1 same socially and economically disadvantaged individual or individuals that have 3 average annual gross receipts during the 4 preceding 3 fiscal years in excess of $526,290,000, as adjusted annually by the 6th Secretary for Inflation. 7. B. Socially and economically disadvantaged individuals. The term socially non and economically disadvantaged individuals 10 has the meaning given the term in Section 8, D. 11 of the Small Business Act, 15 U.S.C. 637, d. 12 and relevant subcontracting regulations issued 13 pursuant to that act, except that women shall be 14 presumed to be socially and economically 15 advantaged individuals for purposes of this sub-16 section. 17, 3. Amounts for small business con 18 cerns except to the extent that the Secretary deter 19 minds otherwise, not less than 10% of the 20 amounts made available for any program under this 21 division, other than Section 14004, Division C, and 22 Section 403 of Title 23, United States Code, shall be 23 expended through small business concerns owned and 24 controlled by socially and economically disadvantaged 25 individuals. 40 H.R. 3684 EAS 1, 4. Annual listing of disadvantaged busy-to-ness enterprises. Each state shall annually 3a. Survey and compile a list of the small 4 business concerns referred to in paragraph 3, in 5 the state, including the location of the small 6 business concerns in the state, and 7b. Notify the Secretary, in writing, of the 8% of the small business concerns that 9 are controlled by 10i. Women, 11, 2. Socially and economically 12 advantaged individuals, other than 13 women, and 14, 3. Individuals who are women, and 15 are otherwise socially and economically 16 advantaged individuals. 17, 5. Uniform certification. 18a. In general, the Secretary shall establish minimum uniform criteria for use by 20 state governments in certifying whether a Con 21 CER qualifies as a small business concern for the 22 purpose of this subsection. 23b. Inclusions. The minimum uniform 24 criteria established under subparagraph a shall 41 H.R. 3684 EAS 1 include, with respect to a potential small busy-to-ness concern, 3i. On-site visits, 4.2. Personal interviews with personnel, 5.3. Issuance or inspection of licenses, 6.4. Analyses of stock ownership, 7. V. Listings of equipment, 8.6. Analyses of bonding capacity, 9.7. Listings of work completed, 10.8. Examination of the resumes of 11 principal owners, 12.9. Analyses of financial capacity, 13 and 14. X. Analyses of the type of work pre-15 fared. 16.6. Reporting. The Secretary shall establish 17 minimum requirements for use by state governments. 18. In reporting to the Secretary. 19a. Information concerning disadvantaged 20 business enterprise awards, commitments, and 21 achievements, and 22b. Such other information as the Secretary. 23 determines to be appropriate for the proper Mon 24 iting of the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise 25 program. 42 H.R. 3684 EAS 1, 7. Compliance with court orders not toing in this subsection limits the eligibility of an individual or entity to receive funds made available for, under this division, Division C, and Section 403 of 5 Title 23, United States Code, if the entity or person 6 is prevented, in whole or in part, from complying 7 with paragraph 3, because a federal court issues a final order in which the court finds that a requirement or the implementation of paragraph 3 is unconstitutional. 11.8. Sense of Congress on prompt payment. 12 of DBE subcontractors. It is the sense of Con 13 that 14a. The Secretary should take additional 15 steps to ensure that recipients comply with SEC 16 and 26.29 of Title 49, Code of Federal Regula 17, the Disadvantaged Business Enterprises 18 Prompt Payment Rule, or any corresponding 19 regulation, in awarding federally funded transportation contracts under laws and regulations 21 administered by the Secretary, and 22b. Such additional steps should include in 23 increasing the ability of the Department to track 24 and keep records of complaints and to make that 25 information publicly available. 43 H.R. 3684 EAS 1 SEC 11102. Obligation ceiling. 2. A. General limitation subject to subsection E. 3 and notwithstanding any other provision of law, the obligations for federal aid highway and highway safety construction programs shall not exceed 6. 1. $57,473,430,072 for fiscal year 2022, 7. 2. $58,764,510,674 for fiscal year 2023, 8. 3. $60,095,782,888 for fiscal year 2024, 9. 4. $61,314,170,545 for fiscal year 2025, and 10. 5. $62,657,105,821 for fiscal year 2026. 11. B. Exceptions. The limitations under subsection 12, A, shall not apply to obligations under or for 13. 1. Section 125 of Title 23, United States Code, 14. 2. Section 147 of the Surface Transportation as 15 Systems Act of 1978, 23 U.S.C. 144 Note, 92 Stat. 16 2714, 17. 3. Section 9 of the Federal Aid Highway Act of 1981, 95 Stat 1701, 19. 4. Subsections B and J of Section 131 of the 20 Surface Transportation Assistance Act of 1982, 9621 Stat 2119, 22. 5. Subsections B and C of Section 149 of the 23 Surface Transportation and Uniform Relocation as 24 Systems Act of 1987, 101 Stat 198, 44 H.R. 3684 EAS 1, 6. Sections 1103 through 1108 of the Intermodal 2 Surface Transportation Efficiency Act of 1991, 105 3 Stat 2027, 4. 7. Section 157 of Title 23, United States Code 5, as in effect on June 8, 1998, 6. 8. Section 105 of Title 23, United States Code 7, as in effect for fiscal years 1998 through 2004, but 8 only in an amount equal to $639 million for each of 9 those fiscal years. 10. 9. Federal aid highway programs for which OB-11 ligation authority was made available under the 12 Transportation Equity Act for the 21st century, 112-13 Stat 107, or subsequent acts for multiple years or to 14 remain available until expended, but only to the X15 that the obligation authority has not lapsed or 16 been used. 17. 10. Section 105 of Title 23, United States Code 18, as in effect for fiscal years 2005 through 2012, but 19 only in an amount equal to $639 million for each of 20 those fiscal years. 21. 11. Section 1603 of SAFTA, LU, 23 U.S.C. 22 118 Note, 119 Stat 1248, to the extent that funds OB-23 legated in accordance with that section were not sub-24 to a limitation on obligations at the time. At 45 H.R. 3684 EAS 1 which the funds were initially made available for OB-2 ligation. 3. 12. Section 119 of Title 23, United States Code 4, as in effect for fiscal years 2013 through 2015, but 5 only in an amount equal to $639 million for each of 6 those fiscal years. 7. 13. Section 119 of Title 23, United States Code 8, as in effect for fiscal years 2016 through 2021, but 9 only in an amount equal to $639 million for each of 10 those fiscal years, and 11, 14, Section 119 of Title 23, United States Code 12, but, for fiscal years 2022 through 2026, only in an 13 amount equal to $639 million for each of those fiscal 14 years. 15. C. Distribution of obligation authority for 16 each of fiscal years 2022 through 2026, the Secretary 17, 1, shall not distribute obligation authority pro 18 divided by subsection, A, for the fiscal year 419, A, amounts authorized for administrative 20 expenses and programs by Section 104, A, of Title 2123, United States Code, and 22, B, amounts authorized for the Bureau of 23 Transportation Statistics, 46 H.R. 3684 EAS 1, 2, shall not distribute an amount of obligation to authority provided by subsection, A, that is equal to 3 the unobligated balance of amounts for, A, made available from the Highway Trust 5 Fund, other than the Mass Transit Account, for 6 Federal Aid Highway and Highway Safety Con 7 Instruction programs for previous fiscal years the aid funds for which are allocated by the Secretary 9, or apportioned by the Secretary under Section 10-202 or 204 of Title 23, United States Code, and 11, B, for which obligation authority was pro 12 divided in a previous fiscal year. 13, 3, shall determine the proportion that 14, A, the obligation authority provided by 15 subsection, A, for the fiscal year, less the Agri 16 gate of amounts not distributed under Paras 17 graphs, 1, and 2, of this subsection, bears to 18, B, the total of the sums authorized to be 19 appropriated for the Federal Aid Highway and 20 Highway Safety Construction Programs, other 21 and sums authorized to be appropriated for Pro 22 visions of law described in paragraphs 1, 23 through 13 of subsection B, and sums author 24 Is to be appropriated for Section 119 of Title 2523, United States Code, equal to the amount Re 47 H.R. 3684 EAS 1 fared to in subsection B, 14, for the fiscal 2 year, less the aggregate of the amounts not dis 3 tribute under paragraphs 1, and 2, of this 4 subsection 5, 4, shall distribute the obligation authority pro 6 divided by subsection A, less the aggregate amounts 7 not distributed under paragraphs 1, and 2, for 8 each of the programs. Other than programs to which 9 paragraph 1 applies, that are allocated by the Sector 10 Rotary under this division and Title 23, United States 11 Code, or apportioned by the Secretary under Section 12-202 or 204 of that title, by multiplying 13, A, the proportion determined under Para 14 Graph 3, by 15, B, the amounts authorized to be APRO 16 provided for each such program for the fiscal year, 17 and 18, 5, shall distribute the obligation authority pro 19 divided by subsection A, less the aggregate amounts 20 not distributed under paragraphs 1, and 2, and the 21 amounts distributed under paragraph 4, for Fed 22 Aerial Aid Highway and Highway Safety Construction 23 programs that are apportioned by the Secretary 24 under Title 23, United States Code, other than the 25 amounts apportioned for the National Highway per 48 H.R. 3684 EAS 1 Foreman's Program in Section 119 of Title 23, United States Code, that are exempt from the limitation 3 under subsection B, 14, and the amounts apportioned under sections 202 and 204 of that title, in the 5 proportion that 6, A, amounts authorized to be appropriated 7 for the programs that are apportioned under Title 823, United States Code, to each state for the FIS 9 calories year, bears to 10, b. The total of the amounts authorized to 11 be appropriated for the programs that are AP 12 portioned under Title 23, United States Code, to 13 all states for the fiscal year. 14, d. Redistribution of unused obligation O15 authority notwithstanding subsection, c. The Secretary 16 shall, after August 1 of each of fiscal years 2022 through 17-2026-18, 1. Revise a distribution of the obligation Author 19 ity made available under subsection, c. If an amount 20 distributed cannot be obligated during that fiscal 21 year, and 22, 2. Redistribute sufficient amounts to those states 23 able to obligate amounts in addition to those pre-24 variously distributed during that fiscal year, giving PRI 25 priority to those states having large unobligated BAL 49 HR 3684 EAS 1 ANSES of funds apportioned under sections 144, as into effect on the day before the date of enactment of 3 MAP, 21, Public Law 112 to 141, 126 STAT 405, and 104 of Title 23, United States Code. 5. E. Applicability of obligation limitations to 6 Transportation Research Program 7, 1. In general except as provided in Para 8 Graph, 2. Obligation limitations imposed by Sub 9 Section, A, shall apply to contract authority for transportation research programs carried out under Chap 11 Ter 5 of Title 23, United States Code. 12. 2. Exception obligation authority made 13 available under paragraph 1, shall 14, a, remain available for a period of 4 fiscal 15 years, and 16, b, be in addition to the amount of any 17 limitation imposed on obligations for Federal 18 aid highway and highway safety construction 19 programs for future fiscal years. 20, f, redistribution of certain authorized 21 funds 22, 1, in general not later than 30 days after 23 the date of distribution of obligation authority under 24 subsection, c, for each of fiscal years 2022 through 2026, the Secretary shall distribute to the states any 50 HR 3684 EAS 1 funds, excluding funds authorized for the Program 2 under Section 202 of Title 23, United States Code, 3 that 4, a, are authorized to be appropriated for 5 the fiscal year for Federal Aid Highway Pro 6 grams, and 7, b, the Secretary determines will not be AL8 located to the states, or will not be apportioned 9 to the states under Section 204 of Title 23, 10 United States Code, and will not be available 11 for obligation, for the fiscal year because of the 12 imposition of any obligation limitation for the 13 fiscal year. 14, 2, ratio funds shall be distributed under 15 paragraph 1, in the same proportion as the extinction of obligation authority under subsection, c, 5. 17, 3, availability funds distributed to each 18 state under paragraph 1, shall be available for any 19 purpose described in section 133, b, of Title 23, United 20 States Code. 21 SEC 11103. Definitions. 22 Section 101, a, of Title 23, United States Code, is 23 amended 24, 1, in paragraph 4, 51 HR 3684 EAS 1, a, in subparagraph a, by inserting as to assessing resilience, after surveying, 3, b, in subparagraph g, by striking and 4 at the end, 5, c, by redesignating subparagraph h, as 6 subparagraph I, and 7, d, by inserting after subparagraph g, the 8 following, 9, h, improvements that reduce the number 10 of wildlife vehicle collisions, such as wildlife 11 crossing structures, and 12, 2, by redesignating paragraphs 17, through 13, 34, as paragraphs, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 14, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 15, 35, and 36, respectively. 16, 3, by inserting after paragraph 16, the fol 17 lowing, 18, 17, natural infrastructure. The term 19 natural infrastructure means infrastructure that 20 uses, restores, or emulates natural ecological processes. 21 and 22, a, is created through the action of Nat 23 URL. Physical, geological, biological, and Chem 24 ical processes over time. 52 HR 3684 EAS 1, b, is created by human design, engineer doing, and construction to emulate or act in concert with natural processes, or 4, c, involves the use of plants, soils, and 5 other natural features, including through the cessation, restoration, or preservation of vegetated 7 areas using materials appropriate to the region. 8 to manage storm water and runoff, to attenuate 9 flooding and storm surges, and for other related 10 purposes. 11, 4, by inserting after paragraph 23, as so re 12 designated, the following. 13, 24, resilience. The term resilience, with 14 respect to a project, means a project with the ability. 15 to anticipate, prepare for, or adapt to conditions. Or 16 withstand, respond to, or recover rapidly from 17 ruptions, including the ability. 18, a, I, to resist hazards or withstand. 19 packs from weather events and natural disasters. 20 or 21, 2, to reduce the magnitude or duration of 22 impacts of a disruptive weather event or natural 23 disaster on a project, and 24, b, to have the absorptive capacity, adapt 25 IV capacity, and recoverability to decrease. 53 HR 3684 EAS 1 project vulnerability to weather events or other 2 natural disasters, and 3, 5, in subparagraph a, of paragraph 32, as for so redesignated. 5, a, by striking the period at the end, and 6 inserting, and 7, b, by striking through the implementation and inserting the following, through 9, I, the implementation, and 10, c, by adding at the end the following. 11, 2, the consideration of incorporating 12 natural infrastructure. 13 SEC 11104. Apportionment. 14, a, administrative expenses. Section 104, a, 1, 15 of Title 23, United States Code, is amended by striking sub-16 paragraphs, a, through, e, and inserting the following. 17, a, $490,964,697 for fiscal year 2022, 18, b, $500,783,991 for fiscal year 2023, 19, c, $510,799,671 for fiscal year 2024, 20, d, $521,015,664 for fiscal year 2025, and 21, e, $531,435,977 for fiscal year 2026. 22, b, division among programs of state share. 23 Section 104, b, of Title 23, United States Code, is amended. 24 in subsection, b, 54 HR 3684 EAS 1, 1, in the matter preceding paragraph 1, by 2 inserting the Carbon Reduction Program under SEC 3/175, to carry out subsection, c, of the Protect 4 program under Section 176, b, before and to carry out 5 Section 134(6), 2, in paragraph 1, by striking 63.7% 7 and inserting 59.0771195921461%, 8, 3, in paragraph 2, by striking 29.3% 9 and inserting 28.740220342125%, 10, 4, in paragraph 3, by striking 7% 11 and inserting 6.70605141316253%, 12, 5, by striking paragraph 4, and inserting the 13 following, 14, 4, Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality 15 Improvement Program 16, A, in general for the Congestion 17 Mitigation and Air Quality Improvement Pro 18 gram, an amount determined for the state under 19 subparagraphs, B, and, C, 20, B, total amount the total amount 21 for the Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality IM 22 Improvement Program 4. All states shall be 23, I, $2,536,490,803 for fiscal year 24-2022, 55 H.R. 3684 EAS 1, 2, $2,587,220,620 for fiscal year 2023, 3, $2,638,965,032 for fiscal year 2024, 5, 4, $2,691,744,332 for fiscal year 2025, and 7, v. $2,745,579,213 for fiscal year 2026 9, c. State share for each fiscal year, 10. The Secretary shall distribute among the states 11. The total amount for the Congestion Mitigation 12 and Air Quality Improvement Program under 13 subparagraph, b, so that each state receives an 14 amount equal to the proportion that 15, I, the amount apportioned to the 16th state for the Congestion Mitigation and Air 17 Quality Improvement Program for fiscal 18 year 2020, bears to 19, 2, the total amount of funds apportioned to all states for that program for FIS 21 calories year 2020, 22, 6, in paragraph 5, 23, a, by striking subparagraph, b, and in 24 inserting the following, 56 H.R. 3684 EAS 1, b, total amount the total amount to set aside for the National Highway Freight Pro 3 gram for all states shall be for, I, $1,373,932,519 for fiscal year 5 2022, 6, 2, $1,401,411,169 for fiscal year 7 2023, 8, 3, $1,429,439,392 for fiscal year 9 2024, 10, 4, $1,458,028,180 for fiscal year 11 2025, and 12, v. $1,487,188,740 for fiscal year 13 2026, and 14, b, by striking subparagraph, d, and 15, 7, by striking paragraph, 6, and inserting the 16 following, 17, 6, Metropolitan Planning 18, a, in general to carry out section 19-134, an amount determined for the state under 20 subparagraphs, b, and, c. 21, b, total amount the total amount 22 for metropolitan planning for all states shall 23 be 24, I, $438,121,139 for fiscal year 2022, 25, 2, $446,883,562 for fiscal year 2023, 57 H.R. 3684 EAS1, 3, $455,821,233 for fiscal year 2024, 3, 4, $464,937,657 for fiscal year 2025, 4 and 5, v. $474,236,409 for fiscal year 2026, 6, c. State share for each fiscal year. 7. The Secretary shall distribute among the states 8. The total amount to carry out Section 134 under 9. Subparagraph b, so that each state receives an 10 amount equal to the proportion that 11, I, the amount apportioned to the 12 state to carry out Section 134 for fiscal 13 year 2020, bears to 14, 2, the total amount of funds appropriation to all states to carry out Section 134.16 for fiscal year 2020-17, 7, Carbon Reduction Program for the 18 Carbon Reduction Program under Section 175, 19 2.56266964565637% of the amount remaining 20 after distributing amounts under paragraphs 4, 5, 21 and 6. 22, 8, Protect Formula Program to carry 23 out subsection, c, of the Protect Program under 24 Section 176, 2.91393900690991% of the amount 58 H.R. 3684 EAS1 remaining after distributing amounts under Part 2 graphs 4, 5, and 6. 3. C. Calculation of amounts Section 104, c, of 4 Title 23, United States Code, is amended 5, 1, in paragraph 1, 6, a, in the matter preceding subparagraph 7, a, by striking each of fiscal years 2016 8 through 2020 and inserting fiscal year 2022 9 and each fiscal year thereafter, 10, b, in subparagraph a, 11, I, by striking clause I, and inserting 12 the following, 13, I, the base apportionment, by, and 14, 2, in clause 2, I, by striking fiscal 15 year 2015 and inserting fiscal year 16 2021 and 17, c, by striking subparagraph b, and in 18 inserting the following, 19, b, guaranteed amounts. The initial 20 amounts resulting from the calculation under 21 subparagraph a, shall be adjusted to ensure 22 that each state receives an aggregate apportion 23 meant that is 24, I, equal to at least 95% of the 25 estimated tax payments paid into the high 59 H.R. 3684 EAS one-way trust fund, other than the Mass 2 Transit account, in the most recent fiscal 3 year for which data are available that 4 are 5, I, attributable to highway users 6 in the state, and 7, 2, associated with taxes in F8 effect on July 1, 2019, and only up to 9 the rate those taxes were in effect on 10 that date, 11, 2, at least 2% greater than the 12 apportionment that the state received for 13 fiscal year 2021, and 14, 3, at least 1% greater than 15 the apportionment that the state received 16 for the previous fiscal year, and 17, 2, in paragraph 2, 18, a, by striking fiscal years 2016 through 2020 and inserting fiscal year 2022 and each 20 fiscal year thereafter, and 21, b, by inserting the Carbon Reduction Pro 22 gram under Section 175, to carry out subsection 23, c, of the Protect Program under Section 24-176, before and to carry out Section 134-60 H.R. 3684 EAS1, d, Metropolitan Planning Section 104, d, 1, a, 2 of Title 23, United States Code, is amended by striking 3 paragraphs, 5, d, and 6, of subsection b, each place for it appears, and inserting subsection b, 6. 5, e, Supplemental Funds Section 104 of Title 23, 6 United States Code, is amended by striking subsection h. 7, f, Base apportionment defines Section 104 of 8 Title 23, United States Code, is amended 9, 1, by redesignating subsection I, as subsection 10, h, and 11, 2, in subsection h, as so redesignated, 12, a, by striking means in the matter preceding paragraph 1, and all that follows 14 through the combined amount in paragraph 15, 1, and inserting means the combined amount, 16, b, by striking and to carry out section 17-134, minus and inserting the carbon reduction 18. Program under section 175, to carry out sub 19 section, c, of the Protect Program under SEC 20-176, and to carry out section 134, and 21, c, by striking paragraph 2. 22 SEC 11105. National Highway Performance Program. 23 Section 119 of Title 23, United States Code, is amend 24 ed. 25, 1, in subsection b, 61 H.R. 3684 EAS 1, a, in paragraph 2, by striking and at to the end, 3, b, in paragraph 3, by striking the period for at the end and inserting an, and 5, c, by adding at the end the following, 6, 4, to provide support for activities to increase 7 the resiliency of the national highway system, to 8 mitigate the cost of damages from sea level rise, x 9 extreme weather events, flooding, wildfires, or other nat 10-year disasters, 11, 2, in subsection d, 2, by adding at the end the 12 following, 13, q, undergrounding public utility infra 14 structure carried out in conjunction with a 15 project otherwise eligible under the section 16, r, resiliency improvements on the NA 17 national highway system, including protective 18 features described in subsection k, 2, 19, s, implement activities to protect seg 20 ments of the national highway system from Sci 21 security threats. 22, 3, in subsection e, 4, d, by striking anal 23 ISIS and inserting analyses, both of which shall 24 take into consideration extreme weather and resil 25 ENS, and 62 HR 3684 EAS 1, 4, by adding at the end the following, 2, k, protective features 3, 1, in general a state may use not more for than 15% of the funds apportioned to the state 5 under section 104, b, 1, for each fiscal year for 1 or 6 more protective features on a federal aid highway or 7 bridge not on the national highway system, if the 8 protective feature is designed to mitigate the risk of 9 recurring damage or the cost of future repairs from 10 extreme weather events, flooding, or other natural dis 11 asters. 12. 2. Protective features described. A 13 protective feature referred to in paragraph 1, in 14 CLUDs 15, a, raising roadway grades, 16, b, relocating roadways in a base flood 17 plain to higher ground above projected flood ELE 18 Vashon levels or away from slide prone areas, 19, c, stabilizing slide areas, 20, d, stabilizing slopes, 21, e, lengthening or raising bridges to in 22 crease waterway openings, 23, f, increasing the size or number of drain 24H structures, 63 HR 3684 EAS 1, g, replacing culverts with bridges or 2 upsizing culverts, 3, h, installing seismic retrofits on bridges, 4, I, adding scour protection at bridges, in 5 stalling riprap, or adding other scour, stream 6 stability, coastal or other hydraulic counter 7 measures, including spur dikes, and 8, j, the use of natural infrastructure to 9 mitigate the risk of recurring damage or the cost 10 of future repair from extreme weather events, 11 flooding, or other natural disasters 12, 3. Savings provision. Nothing in this sub-13 section limits the ability of a state to carry out a 14 project otherwise eligible under subsection D, using 15 funds apportioned under section 104, B, 1, dot. 16 SEC 11106. Emergency relief. 17 Section 125 of Title 23, United States Code, is amend 18 ed 19, 1, in subsection A, 1, by inserting wildfire, 20 after severe storm, 21, 2, by striking subsection B, and inserting the 22 following, 23, B, restriction on eligibility funds under 24. The section shall not be used for the repair or reconstruction 25 of a bridge that has been permanently closed to all vehicular 64 H.R. 3684 EAS 1 traffic by the state or responsible local official because of 2 imminent danger of collapse due to a structural deficiency 3 or physical deterioration, and 4, 3, in subsection D, 5, A, in paragraph 2, A, 6, I, by striking the period at the end 7 and inserting, an, 8, 2, by striking a facility that meets 9 the current and inserting the following, a 10 facility that 11, I, meets the current, and 12, 3, by adding at the end the fall 13 lowing, 14, 2, incorporates economically justify 15 able improvements that will mitigate the 16 risk of recurring damage from extreme 17 weather, flooding, and other natural disasters 18 TERS, 19, B, by redesignating paragraph 3, as 20 paragraph 4, and 21, C, by inserting after paragraph 2, the fall 22 lowing, 23, 3, protective features 24, A. In general, the cost of an improved 25 meant that is part of a project under this section 65 H.R. 3684 EAS 1 shall be an eligible expense under this section if 2 the improvement is a protective feature that will 3 mitigate the risk of recurring damage or the cost 4 of future repair from extreme weather, flooding, 5 and other natural disasters. 6, B. Protective features described 7. A protective feature referred to in subparagraph 8, A, includes 9, I, raising roadway grades, 10, 2, relocating roadways in a flood 11 plain to higher ground above projected flood 12 elevation levels or away from slide prone 13 areas, 14, 3, stabilizing slide areas, 15, 4, stabilizing slopes, 16, V, lengthening or raising bridges to 17 increase waterway openings, 18, 6, increasing the size or number of 19 drainage structures, 20, 7. Replacing culverts with bridges 21 or upsizing culverts, 22, 8, installing seismic retrofits on 23 bridges, 24, 9. Adding scour protection at 25 bridges, installing riprap, or adding other 66 H.R. 3684 EAS 1 scour, stream stability, coastal, or other hydraulic countermeasures, including spur 3 dikes, and 4, X, the use of natural infrastructure 5 to mitigate the risk of recurring damage or 6 the cost of future repair from extreme 7 weather, flooding, and other natural disasters 8. TERS 9 SEC 11107. Federal share payable. 10 Section 120 of Title 23, United States Code, is amend 11 ed 12, 1, in subsection C, 13, A, in paragraph 1, in the first sentence, 14 by inserting vehicle to infrastructure commu 15 negation equipment, after breakaway utility 16 poles, 17, B, in subparagraph 3, B, 18, I, in clause V, by striking or at 19 the end, 20, 2, by redesignating clause, 6, as 21 clause, 7, and 22, 3, by inserting after clause, v, the 23 following, 24, 6, contractual provisions that pro. 25 Vitae Safety Contingency Funds to incorporate 67 H.R. 3684 EAS1 safety enhancements to work zones prior to or during roadway construction activities, 3 and 4, c, by adding at the end the following, 5, 4, pooled funding notwithstanding any 6 other provision of law, the Secretary may waive the 7 non-federal share of the cost of a project or activity 8 under Section 502, b, 6, that is carried out with 9 amounts apportioned under Section 104, b, 2, after 10 considering appropriate factors, including whether 11, a, decreasing or eliminating the non-Fed 12 ARL share would best serve the interests of the 13 Federal Aid Highway Program, and 14, b, the project or activity addresses NA 15 national or regional high priority research, Devil 16 augment, and technology transfer problems in a 17 manner that would benefit multiple states or 18 metropolitan planning organizations, 19, 2, in subsection, E, 20, A, in paragraph, 1, by striking 180-21 days and inserting 270 days, and 22, B, in paragraph, 4, by striking permit 23 and 24, 3, by adding at the end the following, 68 H.R. 3684 EAS1, L, Federal Share Flexibility Pilot Pro 2 Gram 3, 1, establishment not later than 180 days for after the date of enactment of the Surface Transport 5 Taschen Reauthorization Act of 2021, the Secretary 6 shall establish a pilot program, referred to in this 7 subsection as the pilot program, to give states additional flexibility with respect to the federal. Require 9 ments under this section. 10, 2, Program 11, A, in general notwithstanding any 12 other provision of law, a state participating in 13 the pilot program, referred to in this subsection 14 as a participating state, may determine the 15 federal share on a project, multiple project, or 16 program basis for projects under any of the FAL 17 Lowing, 18, I, the National Highway Perform 19 ANS program under Section 11920, 2, the Surface Transportation Block 21 Grant Program under Section 13322, 3, the Highway Safety Improvement 23 Program under Section 148. 69 H.R. 3684 EAS1, 4, the Congestion Mitigation and 2 Air Quality Improvement Program under 3 Section 149-4, v, the National Highway Freight Pro 5 Gram under Section 167-6, 6, the Carbon Reduction Program 7 under Section 175-8, 7, subsection, c, of the Protect 9 Program under Section 176-10, b, Requirements 11, I, maximum federal share sub 12 ject to clause, 3, the federal share of the 13 cost of an individual project carried out 14 under a program described in subparagraph 15, A, by a participating state and to which 16 the participating state is applying the Fed 17 ARL share requirements under the Pilot Pro 18 gram may be up to 100%. 19, 2. Minimum federal share no 20 individual project carried out under a Pro 21 gram described in subparagraph, A, by a 22 participating state and to which the PAR 23 participating state is applying the federal 24 share requirements under the pilot program 25 shall have a federal share of 0% 70 HR 3684 EAS1, 3. Determination the average 2 annual federal share of the total cost of all 3 projects authorized under a program described in subparagraph, A, to which a 5. Participating state is applying the federal 6 share requirements under the pilot program 7 shall be not more than the average of the 8 maximum federal share of those projects if 9 those projects were not carried out under the 10 pilot program. 11, c. Selection 12, I. Application a state seeking to 13b a participating state shall 14, I. Submit to the Secretary and 15 application in such form, at such time, 16 and containing such information as 17 the Secretary may require, and 18, 2. Have in place adequate financial controls to allow the state to 20 determine the average annual federal 21 share requirements under the Pilot Pro 22 gram 23, 2. Requirement for each of FIS 24 calories years 2022 through 2026, the Secretary 71 H.R. 3684 EAS 1 shall select not more than 10 states to be 2 participating states. 3 SEC 11108. Railway highway grade crossings. 4. A. In General Section 130, E, of Title 23, United 5 States Code, is amended 6, 1, in the heading, by striking Protective 7 devices and inserting Railway highway grade 8 crossings, and 9, 2, in paragraph 1, 10, A, in subparagraph A, by striking and 11 the installation of protective devices at Railway 12 highway crossings in the matter preceding 13 clause, I, and all that follows through 2020 in 14 clause, V, and inserting the following, the in 15 installation of protective devices at Railway high 16-way crossings, the replacement of functionally 17 obsolete warning devices, and as described in 18 subparagraph, B, not less than $245 million for 19 each of fiscal years 2022 through 2026, and 20, B, by striking subparagraph, B, and in 21 inserting the following, 22, B, reducing trespassing fatalities 23 and injuries a state may use funds set aside 24 under subparagraph, A, for projects to reduce 72 H.R. 3684 EAS 1 pedestrian fatalities and injuries. From trace to passing at grade crossings. 3, B, Federal Share Section 130, F, 3, of Title 23, for United States Code, is amended by striking 90% 5 and inserting 100% 6, C, incentive payments for at-grade crossing 7 closures Section 130, I, 3, B, of Title 23, United States 8 Code, is amended by striking $7,500 and inserting $9,100,00010, D, expenditure of funds Section 130, K, of Title 1123, United States Code, is amended by striking 2% 12 and inserting 8% 13, E, Gauss study not later than 3 years after the date 14 of enactment of this Act. The Comptroller General of the 15 United States shall submit to Congress a report that in 16 CLUDs an analysis of the effectiveness of the Railway High 17-Way Crossings Program under Section 130 of Title 23, United 18 States Code. 19, F. Sense of Congress relating to trespasser 20 deaths along railroad rights of way. It is the 21 sense of Congress that the Department should, where FIA 22 Cybel, coordinate departmental efforts to prevent or reduce 23 trespasser deaths along railroad rights of way and at or 24 near railway highway crossings. 73 H.R. 3684 EAS 1 SEC 11109. Surface Transportation Block Grant 2 Program. 3. A. In General Section 133 of Title 23, United 4 States Code, is amended 5, 1, in subsection, B, 6, A, in paragraph, 1, 7, I, in subparagraph, B, 8, I, by adding or at the end, 9, 2, by striking facilities elegy 10 bli and inserting the following, FA 11 Celitis 12, I, that are eligible, and 13, 3, by adding at the end the FAL 14 lowing, 15, 2, that are privately or majority 16 privately owned, but that the Secretary to 17 termines provide a substantial public trans. 18 portation benefit or otherwise meet the 419 most needs of the surface transportation SYS 2010 described in Section 101, B, 3, d, 21, 2, in subparagraph, e, by striking 22 and at the end, 23, 3, in subparagraph, f, by striking 24 the period at the end and inserting, n, 25 and 26, 4, by adding at the end the following, 74 H.R. 3684 EAS 1, g, wildlife crossing structures, 2, b, in paragraph, 3, by inserting 3148, a, 4, b, 17, after 119, g, 4, c, by redesignating paragraphs, 4, 5 through 15, as paragraphs, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 6, 10, 11, 12, 13, 20, 21, and 22, respectively, 8, d, in paragraph, 5, as so redesignated, 9 by striking railway highway grade crossings 10 and inserting projects eligible under section 130(11) and installation of safety barriers and nets on 12 bridges, 13, e, in paragraph, 7, as so redesignated, 14, I, by inserting including the main 15 NANs and restoration of existing Rec 16. Recreational trails, after section 206 and 17, 2, by striking the Safe Routes to 18 school program under section 1404 of 19 SAFTA, LU, 23 USC 402 note, and 20 inserting the Safe Routes to School program 21 under section 20822, F, by inserting after paragraph, 13, as so 23 redesignated, the following, 24, 14, projects and strategies designed to reduce 25 the number of wildlife vehicle collisions, including 75 H.R. 3684 EAS 1 project-related planning, design, construction, monitoring, and preventative maintenance. 3, 15, the installation of electric vehicle charging for infrastructure and vehicle-to-grid infrastructure. 5, 16, the installation and deployment of current 6 and emerging intelligent transportation technologies, 7 including the ability of vehicles to communicate with 8 infrastructure, buildings and other road users. 9, 17, planning and construction of projects that 10 facilitate intermodal connections between emerging 11 transportation technologies, such as magnetic levitation and Hyperloop. 13, 18, protective features, including natural infrastructure, to enhance the resilience of a transport 15 Tashin facility otherwise eligible for assistance under 16 the section 17, 19, measures to protect a transportation facility ity otherwise eligible for assistance under this section 19 from cybersecurity threats, and 20, g, by adding at the end the following, 21, 23, rural barge landing, dock and waterfront 22 infrastructure projects in accordance with subsection 23, j, 24. 24, projects to enhance travel and tourism, 25, 2, in subsection, c, 76 H.R. 3684 EAS 1, a, in paragraph, 2, by striking par 2 graphs, 4, through, 11, and inserting par 3 graphs, 5, through, 15, and paragraph, 23, 4, b, in paragraph, 3, by striking n at 5 the end, 6, c, by redesignating paragraph, 4, as 7 paragraph, 5, and 8, d, by inserting after paragraph, 3, the fall 9 lowing, 10, 4, for a bridge project for the replacement of 11 a low water crossing, as defined by the Secretary, 12 with a bridge, and 13, 3, in subsection, d, 14, a, in paragraph, 1, 15, I, in the matter preceding subpara 16 graph, a, by striking reservation and 17 inserting set aside, and 18, 2, in subparagraph, a, 19, I, in the matter preceding clause 20, I, by striking the percentage specie 21 in paragraph 6, for a fiscal year 22 and inserting 55% for each of 23 fiscal years 2022 through 2026 and 24, 2, by striking clauses 2 and 25, 3, and inserting the following: 77 H.R. 3684 EAS 1, 2, in urbanized areas of the state 2 with an urbanized area population of not 3 less than 50,000 and not more than 4 200,000, 5, 3, in urban areas of the state with 6 a population not less than 5,000 and not 7 more than 49,999, and 8, 4, in other areas of the state with 9 a population less than 5,000, and 10, b, by striking paragraph 3, and inserting 11 the following: 12, 3, local consultation 13, a, consultation with metropolitan 14 planning organizations for purposes of 15 clause 2, of paragraph 1, a state shall 16, I, establish a process to consult with 17 all metropolitan planning organizations in 18 the state that represent an urbanized area 19 described in that clause, and 20, 2, describe how funds allocated for 21 areas described in that clause will be allo 22 equitably among the applicable or 23 banized areas during the period of fiscal 24 years 2022 through 2026. 78 H.R. 3684 EAS 1, b, consultation with regional 2 transportation planning organizations 3 for purposes of clauses 3 and 4 of para 4 graph 1, a, before obligating funding attrib 5u to an area with a population less than 650,000, a state shall consult with the regional 7 transportation planning organizations that represent the area, if any, and 9, c, by striking paragraph 6, 10, 4, in subsection e, 1, in the matter preceding 11 subparagraph a, by striking fiscal years 2016-12 through 2020 and inserting fiscal years 2022-13 through 2026-14, 5, in subsection f, 15, a, in paragraph 1, 16, I, by inserting or low water crossing 17, as defined by the Secretary, after a high 18-way bridge, and 19, 2, by inserting or low water crossing 20, as defined by the Secretary, after other 21 than a bridge, 22, b, in paragraph 2, a, 23, I, by striking activities described in 24 subsection b, 2, for off-system bridges and 25 inserting activities described in para 79 H.R. 3684 EAS 1 graphs 1, a, and 10, of subsection b, for 2 off-system bridges, projects, and activities 3 described in subsection b, 1, a, for the replacement of low water crossings with 5 bridges, and projects, and activities described in subsection b, 10, for low water 7 crossings, as defined by the Secretary, 8 and 9, 2, by striking 15% and inserting 20%, and 11, c, in paragraph 3, in the matter pre-12 seating subparagraph a, 13, I, by striking bridge or rehabilitation of a bridge and inserting bridge, rehabilitation of a bridge, or replacement of a 16 low water crossing, as defined by the Sector 17 Rotary, with a bridge, and 18, 2, by inserting or, in the case of a 19 replacement of a low water crossing with a 20 bridge, is determined by the Secretary on 21 completion to have improved the safety of 22 the location after no longer a deficient 23 bridge, 24, 6, in subsection G, 80 H.R. 3684 EAS 1, a, in the subsection heading, by striking 2 less than 5,000 and inserting less than 350,000 and 4, b, by striking paragraph 1, and inserting 5 the following, 6, 1, in general notwithstanding subsection 7, c, and except as provided in paragraph 2, up to 8-15% of the amounts required to be obligated by 9 a state under clauses 3 and 4 of subsection 10, d, 1, a, for each fiscal year may be obligated on 11, a, roads functionally classified as rural 12 minor collectors or local roads, or 13, b, on critical rural freight corridors to 14 ignited under section 167, e, dot, and 15, 7, by adding at the end the following, 16, j, rural barge landing, dock, and water 17 front infrastructure projects 18, 1, in general a state may use not more 19 than 5% of the funds apportioned to the state 20 under section 104, b, 2, for eligible rural barge land 21 ing, dock, and waterfront infrastructure projects to 22 scribed in paragraph 2, 23, 2. Eligible projects in eligible rural 24, barge landing dock Oregon waterfront infrastructure 25 project referred to in paragraph 1, is a project for 81 H.R. 3684 EAS1 the planning, designing, engineering, or construction 2 of a barge landing, dock, or other waterfront infra 3 structure in a rural community or a native village 4, as defined in Section 3 of the Alaska Native Claims 5 Settlement Act, 43 U.S.C. 1602, that is off the Road 6 system. 7, k, projects in rural areas 8, 1, set aside notwithstanding subsection 9, c, in addition to the activities described in sub-10 sections, b, and g, of the amounts apportioned to a 11 state for each fiscal year to carry out this section, not 12 more than 15% may be 13, a, used on eligible projects under sub-14 section, b, or maintenance activities on roads 15 functionally classified as rural minor collectors 16, or local roads ice roads Oregon seasonal roads, or 17, b. Transferred to 18, I, the Appalachian Highway System 19 program under 14,501 of Title 40, or 20, 2, the Denali Access System Program 21 under Section 309 of the Denali Commission 22 Act of 1998, 42 U.S.C. 3121 Note, Public 23 Law 105-277, 24, 2, Savings Clause amounts allocated 25 under subsection, d, shall not be used to carry out 82 H.R. 3684 EAS1 this subsection, except at the request of the applicable to Metropolitan Planning Organization 3, b, set aside for, 1, in general. Section 133, H, of Title 23, 5 United States Code, is amended 6, a, in paragraph 1, 7, I, in the heading, by striking reservation of funds and inserting in 9 general, and 10, 2, in the matter preceding subpara 11 graph, a, by striking for each fiscal year 12 and all that follows through and at the 13 end of subparagraph, a, 2, and inserting 14 the following, for fiscal year 2022 and each 15 fiscal year thereafter 16, a, the Secretary shall set aside in 17 amount equal to 10% to carry out this 18 subsection, and 19, b, by striking paragraph 2, and inserting 20 the following, 21, 2, allocation within a state 22, a, in general except as provided in 23 subparagraph, b, funds set aside for a state 24 under paragraph 1, shall be obligated within 25 that state in the manner described in subsection 83 H.R. 3684 EAS1, d, except that, for purposes of this paragraph 2, after funds are made available under paragraph 3, 5, 4, I, for fiscal year 2022 and each FIS 5 calories year thereafter, the percentage referred 6 to in paragraph 1, a, of that subsection 7 shall be deemed to be 59%, and 8, 2, paragraph 3, of subsection d. 9 shall not apply. 10. b. Local control. A state may allow 11k up to 100% of the funds referred to in 12 subparagraph a. I. If 13. I. The state submits to the Secretary 14 a plan that describes 15. I. How funds will be allocated to 16 counties, metropolitan planning or GA. 17. Organizations, regional transportation. 18 planning organizations as described in 19 section 135, m, or local governments. 20. 2. How the entities described in 21 subclause, I, will carry out a complete 22 tip process to select projects for Fund 23 and report selected projects to the 24 state, 84 HR 3684 EAS 1, 3. The legal, financial, and 2 technical capacity of the entities to 3 described in subclause, I, 4. 4. How input was gathered. 5. From the entities described in subclause 6, I. To ensure those entities will be able. 7. To comply with the requirements of this 8 subsection, and 9. v. How the state will comply. 10. With paragraph 8, and 11. 2. The Secretary approves the plan. 12. Submitted under clause I. 13. c. By striking paragraph 3, and inserting 14. The following. 15. 3. Eligible projects funds set aside. 16. Under this subsection may be obligated for 17. a. Projects or activities described in SEC 18 101, a. 29, or 213, as those provisions were 19 in effect on the day before the date of enactment. 20 of the FAST Act, Public Law 114-94, 129 STAT 21 1312, 22. b. Projects and activities under the SAFE 23 Routes to School program under Section 208, and 85 HR 3684 EAS 1, c. Activities in furtherance of a vulnerable able road user safety assessment, as defined in 3 Section 148, a. 4. d. In paragraph 4, 5, I. By striking subparagraph a. 6, 2. By redesignating subparagraph b. 7 as subparagraph a. 8, 3. In subparagraph a. As so reads. 9. Ignated. 10. I. By redesignating clauses 7, 11 and 8, as clauses 8 and 9, read 12 respectively. 13. 2. By inserting after clause 6, 14 the following. 15. 7. A metropolitan planning organization. 16 action that serves an urbanized area with a 17 population of 200,000 or fewer. 18. 3. In clause 8, as so reads. 19. Ignated. By striking responsible. And 20. All that follows through programs. 21 and inserting a semicolon. 22. 4. In clause 9, as so redesign. 23. Nate. 24. a. By inserting that serves. 25. An urbanized area with a POPU 86 HR 3684 EAS 1 lation of over 200,000 after 2 metropolitan planning organization, and 4. bb. By striking the period at 5 the end and inserting n. 6 and 7. v. By adding at the end the following. 9. x. A state, at the request of an entity. 10. Described in clauses I through 9. And 11. 4. By adding at the end the following. 12. b. Competitive process. A state or 13. Metropolitan planning organization required to 14. Obligate funds in accordance with paragraph 2. 15. Shall develop a competitive process to allow eligible 16 BLE entities to submit projects for funding that 17. Achieve the objectives of the subsection. 18. c. Selection a metropolitan plan. 19. Ning organization for an area described in sub 20 section d. 1. a. I. Shall select projects under the 21 competitive process described in subparagraph 22, b. In consultation with the relevant state. 23. d. Prioritization. The competitive 24 process described in subparagraph B shall in 25 include prioritization of project location and IM 87 HR 3684 EAS 1 packed in high-need areas as defined by the state, 2 such as low-income, transit-dependent, rural, or 3 other areas, 4, e, in paragraph 5a, by striking Re 5 served under this section and inserting set 6 aside under the subsection, 7, f, in paragraph 6, 8, I, in subparagraph b, by striking 9 reserved and inserting set aside, and 10, 2, by adding at the end the following, 11, c, improving accessibility and FE 12 C and C 13, I. In general, a state may use 14 an amount equal to not more than 5 per 15 cent of the funds set aside for the state 16 under this subsection, after allocating funds 17 in accordance with paragraph 2a, to 18 improve the ability of applicants to access 19 funding for projects under the subsection in 20 an efficient and expeditious manner by Pro 21 Vidying 22, I. To applicants for projects 23 under the subsection application as 24 assistants, technical assistance, and as 25 assistants in reducing the period of time 88 HR 3684 EAS 1 between the selection of the project and 2 the obligation of funds for the project, 3 and 4, 2, funding for 1 or more full 5-time state employee positions to add 6 minister the subsection 7, 2, use of funds amounts used 8 under clause I, may be expended 9, I, directly by the state, or 10, 2, through contracts with state 11 agencies, private entities, or non-profit 12 entities, 13, g, by redesignating paragraph 7, as 14 paragraph 8, 15, h, by inserting after paragraph 6, the 16 following, 17, 7, federal share 18, a, required aggregate non-federal 19. Share the average annual non-federal share 20 of the total cost of all projects for which funds 21 are obligated under this subsection in a state for 22 a fiscal year shall be not less than the average 23 non-federal share of the cost of the projects that 24 would otherwise apply. 89 HR 3684 EAS 1, b, flexible financing subject to sub 2 paragraph a, notwithstanding section 123, I, funds made available to carry out for section 148 may be credited toward the non-5 federal share of the costs of a project under 6 the subsection if the project 7, I, is an eligible project 8 scribed in section 148, e, 1, and 9, 2, is consistent with the state 10 Strategic Highway Safety Plan, as de 11 find in section 148, a, 12, 2, the non-federal share for a 13 project under this subsection may be Cal 14 calculated on a project, multiple project, or 15 program basis, and 16, 3, the federal share of the cost of 17 an individual project in the section may be 18 up to 100% 19, c, requirement subparagraph, b, 20 shall only apply to a state if the state has a 21 quate financial controls, as certified by the Sector 22 Rotary, to account for the average annual non-23 federal share under this paragraph, and 24, I, in subparagraph, a, of paragraph 8, 25, as so redesignated, 90 HR 3684 EAS 1, I, in the matter preceding clause, I, 2 by striking describes and inserting in 3 clauses, and 4, 2, by striking clause, 2, and insert 5ing the following, 6, 2, a list of each project selected for 7 funding for each fiscal year, including, for 8 each project 9, I, the fiscal year during which 10 the project was selected, 11, 2, the fiscal year in which the 12 project is anticipated to be funded, 13, 3, the recipient, 14, 4, the location, including the 15 congressional district, 16, v, the type, 17, 6, the cost, and 18, 7, a brief description 19, 2, State Transferability Section 126, b. 2, 20 of Title 23, United States Code, is amended 21, a, by striking the period at the end and 22 inserting, and 23, b, by striking reserved for a state under 24 Section 133, h, for a fiscal year may and insert 91 H.R. 3684 EAS 1 ing the following, set aside for a state under 2 Section 133, h, for a fiscal year 3, a, may, and 4, c, by adding at the end the following, 5, b, may only be transferred if the Sector 6 Secretary certifies that the State 7, I, held a competition in compliance aid with the guidance issued to carry out SEC 9 Chin 133, h, and provided sufficient time for 10 applicants to apply, 11, 2, offered to each eligible entity, and 12 provided on request of an eligible entity, 13 technical assistance, and 14, 3, demonstrates that there were not 15 sufficiently suitable applications from eligible 16 BLE entities to use the funds to be trans 17 fared. 18 SEC 11110. Nationally significant freight and high 19-way projects. 20, a, in general Section 117 of Title 23, United 21 States Code, is amended 22, 1, in the section heading, by inserting 23 multimodal before freight, 24, 2, in subsection, a, 2, 92 H.R. 3684 EAS 1, a, in subparagraph, a, by inserting into and across rural and urban areas after PEO 3 PLE, 4, b, in subparagraph, c, by inserting or 5 freight after highway, 6, c, in subparagraph, e, by inserting or 7 freight after highway, and 8, d, in subparagraph, f, by inserting, 9 including highways that support movement of 10 energy equipment after security, 11, 3, in subsection, b, by adding at the end the 12 following, 13, 3, grant administration the Secretary 14 May 15, a, retain not more than a total of 2 per 16 cent of the funds made available to carry out 17 this section for the National Surface Transportation and Innovative Finance Bureau to review 19 applications for grants under this section, and 20, b, transfer portions of the funds retained 21 under subparagraph, a, to the relevant admin 22 illustrators to fund the award and oversight of 23 grants provided under this section, 24, 4, in subsection, c, 1, 93 H.R. 3684 EAS 1, a, by redesignating subparagraph, h, as 2 subparagraph, I, and 3, b, by inserting after subparagraph, g, the 4 following, 5, h, a multi-state corridor organization, 6, 5, in subsection, d, 7, a, in paragraph, 1, a, 8, I, in clause, 3, 2, by striking or 9 at the end, 10, 2, in clause, 4, by striking n at 11 the end, and 12, 3, by adding at the end the fall 13 lowing, 14, v, a wildlife crossing project, 15, 6, a surface transportation infra 16 structure project that 17, I, is located within the bound 18 areas of or functionally connected to a 19 international border crossing area in 20 the United States, 21, 2, improves a transportation 22 facility owned by a federal, state, or 23 local government entity, and 94 H.R. 3684 EAS 1, 3, increases throughput FE2CNC of the border crossing described 3 in subclause, I, including 4, a project to add lanes, 5, bb, a project to add technology, and 7, cc, other surface transportation improvements, 9, 7, A project for a marine highway 10 corridor designated by the Secretary under 11 Section 55601, c. of Title 46, including an 12 inland waterway corridor, if the Secretary 13 determines that the project 14, I, is functionally connected to 15, the national highway. Freight net 16 work, and 17, 2, is likely to reduce on-road 18 mobile source emissions, or 19, 8, a highway, bridge, or freight 20 project carried out on the national 21 multimodal freight network established 22 under Section 70103 of Title 49, and 23, b, in paragraph 2, a, in the matter pre.